ensuring participants understand the fundamental principles of sustainability reporting. Secondly, is providing practical guidance on applying the GRI reporting framework to real-world scenarios. And three, is empowering participants to become agents of change within their organizations by integrating sustainability into their business strategies and deliver value, not just to the business, but also to stakeholders and the planet. At the end of the day, sustainability is just three words: is significant impacts and value. So it's how do you define significant impacts and map out significant impacts throughout your value chain, and once you do that, is how do you take action to deliver value, not just to the business but also to stakeholders and the world. And that's it in a nutshell.
Africa's time is now, a time defined by purpose, action, value, and its people. Africa is no longer the story of what could be. It is the story of what is being built by Africans for Africa. Join us in 2026 at the African Shared Value and ESG Summit.
What is it about Africa? Some see struggle. We see opportunity. This is where we thrive. Africa is a land of contrasts. Hundreds of millions of our people live without access to clean water and electricity. Yet we have more entrepreneurs than any other continent, and by 2050, half of the world's youth will be African. Africa's been busy. We're urbanizing, embracing technology. We're sprinting forward with some of the fastest growing economies in the world. It's time for African-driven solutions to African problems. It's time to seize the moment and create our own narrative to build the Africa we want. Business has the power to bring about change at scale and make money doing so. The shared value business model reconnects business success with social progress. Shared value is also about partnerships, building business networks that create inclusive growth. The power of collaboration should never be underestimated. If we can bring together businesses and communities from across Africa with a shared purpose, we can build economic value and, most importantly, value for society. It's time for Africa to become the economic powerhouse of the future. Become part of Africa's most powerful shared value business network. Join the Shared Value Africa initiative today.
Sustainability reporting is more important than ever, but it's also becoming more complex. Companies today face growing expectations to disclose their environmental, social, and economic performance with clarity and credibility. Regulations are evolving, reporting demands are increasing, stakeholders want more transparency. So how can you be sure you're getting it right? If you're leading reporting efforts, managing ESG data, or advising organizations, you need the right skills to stay ahead and make an impact. And that's exactly what we help you do. For nearly 3 decades, GRI has been at the forefront of sustainability reporting. We set the global common language for organizations to measure and disclose their impacts through the GRI standards. As the leading provider of sustainability reporting education, we help professionals like you build the expertise and confidence to navigate this changing landscape. The GRI Academy offers interactive whether you're new to reporting or looking to expand your skills, Our online platform gives you the tools to succeed on your schedule. Do you prefer in-person training? GRI's certified training partners form a global network of training organizations delivering licensed sustainability reporting courses in more than 50 countries. Is designed to strengthen your expertise and show employers, clients, and stakeholders that you're a leader in sustainability reporting. GRI is trusted professionals in over 100 countries, including ESG specialists, sustainability managers, finance leaders, compliance and risk professionals, engineers, executives, consultants, and many more. They're using their expertise to strengthen reporting and drive real change in their organizations and communities. Are you ready to take the next step? Are you ready to take the next step?
Biodiversity underpins life on Earth, yet it is under greater threat than ever. Organizations are expected to measure and report their impacts because transparency drives real change. That's where charting a greener path, reporting on biodiversity with the GRI standards comes in. In this course, you'll explore the topic standard for biodiversity. The course is divided into 4 parts: an introduction to the GRI standards, current trends, challenges, and opportunities, the importance of biodiversity for business and society, and a guided walkthrough of how to integrate biodiversity into sustainability reporting. What sets this course apart is its balance of context and practice. You'll first explore why biodiversity matters globally and for business, then dive into the detailed disclosures of GRI 101, with downloadable resources, scenarios to explore, and knowledge checks to consolidate learning. The course turns theory into practice. Take the next step in sustainability reporting. Enroll in the course, Charting a Greener Path, reporting on biodiversity with the GRI standards, available on the GRI Academy.
My name is Simon Pitsilidis. I am the owner of FBRH Consultants, a London-based consultancy specializing in sustainability reporting. FBRH Consultants have been a proud GRI certified training partner for 9 years. We have been engaged in providing sustainability reports for over 16 years. 3 most important aspects as my role as a trainer. First of all is ensuring participants understand the fundamental principles of sustainability reporting. Second,
Welcome to Lagos Business School, Africa's prestigious business management institution. At LBS, we focus on producing high-potential professionals and stress the importance of ethics and management as a service. Welcoming First Point Information Center, where we provide information on starting your LBS adventure. Wi-Fi-enabled library is equipped with the best curated learning resources on a whole range of subject areas in business and management. It has over 60,000 physical resources in addition to over 2 million electronic resources accessible 24 hours a day. The library also features a 24-seater computer room for users. The Bloomberg Room has 12 terminals where students, executive participants, and faculty can have access to world-renowned financial databases and market data such as opening and closing prices for the international market, forex, and commodities. The International Management Research Center, IMRC, is built to support the school's goal of conducting research that would impact the business world. The three major research centers are LBS Sustainability Center, Christopher Colade Center for Research in Leadership and Ethics, and Sustainable and Inclusive Digital Financial Services. The IMRC building is conceived as a green building making significant use of natural daylight, proper orientation, and shading, thus saving on electricity consumption. Our ultra-modern classrooms are equipped with the best facilities to accommodate traditional and hybrid learning for our MBA, DBA, and executive programs. The classrooms are Wi-Fi enabled, just as the rest of the school. The layout of the classrooms currently complies with COVID-19 regulations. Because we only source for the very best faculty staff, we ensure that they have the best space equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and resources to enable them to excel in their role. The Auditorium, a host to many award-winning, life-changing network events. Take your ideas to the next level with the right people. The admissions office is every new learner's most visited space in the first month, so we invest in ensuring it is well equipped with the very best staff and resources you need to make your LBS journey seamless. Through the school's close links with industry, learners are provided with a practical learning experience that ensures lifelong values to their careers and employers. LBS has a rich portfolio of executive education programs targeted at various cadres of management executives. Instructional Design and Technology, IDT, is responsible for providing the LBS community with multimedia resources, course development, and redesign consultation, maintaining the institutional online learning platforms. ICT handles the design and alignment of technology roadmaps, creation and adoption of technology standards, oversees the design and management of the computer network infrastructure, software development, and maintenance. At LBS, your security is paramount to us. Our campus lecture halls and other facilities are fully fitted with CCTV cameras. In addition to this, security personnel are present to make life and experience at LBS a hit-free one. Our cafeteria area hosts our staff and learners to an exquisite array of cuisine, both local and continental, with special preferences for vegetarians. The cafeteria is run by the school to ensure quality. Due to the power shortage in Nigeria, LBS depends on alternative sources of power to ensure the uninterrupted running of activities. We have 3 major diesel power generators used at different times depending on power demands. We have invested in a space that enables our scholars the opportunity to study and be rest assured that their kids are in a safe and conducive environment nearby. We take our students and staff well-being seriously at LBS. Our sick bay is equipped with the best of first aid equipment. LBS Document and Production Unit, also known as Document Room, is the one-stop place providing solutions for all document services: printing, photocopy, scanning, binding, ID cards, as well as sourcing of study materials for learners and faculty. The Gazebo is a fee-paying cafe, a great place that accords staff and learners the opportunity to enjoy the magnificently manicured greenery with a unique blend of lushness and serenity while eating. It is also a venue where faculty, staff and learners come to celebrate milestones such as birthdays and promotions. Our sports center serves as a recreational place where our scholars can unwind and bond with each other while staying fit. There is an annual Dean's Cup in which all the MBA
We designed effective sustainability and ESG management program to cater for an essential gap that we have seen in the Nigerian market. Sustainability has become increasingly important for business organizations that are practicing not just in Europe, but even in. But what are not able to
because ultimately at the end of the
conversations we had, and we'll be building on that today. Just to give us an idea of what we are going to be talking about today, so we'll get some opening remarks very soon from some of our key partners proudly sponsoring this event as well too. We're also going to have a recap from what we did yesterday, and then we'll break to have some panel conversations. We're going to have the third panel discussion flowing from what we had yesterday today. And then we're also going to have some insights that will be shared to us from some of our strategic partners for this event. We would also do a case presentation, and that will be done by one of the partners for this event. And then we'll also have an interactive question and answer session as well. So I promise you that this is going to be very, very insightful, very engaging as well too, very discursive. So please feel free. It's a small room, and because it's a small room, we can have more interactions together. All right, so that being said, so that we kick the ball rolling, it gives me a lot of pleasure to welcome one of our own, and I'll be calling on the stage to just give us some opening remarks. Our director and the head of executive education at the Lagos Business School, in the person of Mr. Victor Banjo. Please, a round of applause will do.
Distinguished leaders, honored guests, esteemed partners, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As he has said, my name is Victor Banjo, Director of Executive Education at the Lagos Business School, Pan-Atlantic University, and I'm here to deliver the opening remarks on this second day of the International Sustainability Conference, representing Professor Yinka David West, the Dean of the Lagos Business School. I welcome you to day 2 of the 2025 Lagos Business School International Sustainability Conference, ISC. It is a privilege to continue this critical global dialogue in person today, building on the powerful insights, commitments, and momentum we ignited during yesterday's virtual convening. Around the world, sustainability has moved beyond aspirations. It has become the organizing principle for competitiveness, investment, and long-term value creation. The global community and local stakeholders are demanding not only ambition, but accountability, innovation, and measurable impact, progress. Africa must not only be part of that conversation, Africa must help shape its direction, especially on issues that are material to our social, environmental, and economic development and industrial priorities. This is precisely what ISC exists to do through the lens of enterprise and corporate action. This conference is designed as a platform that cultivates the ideas and practices that enable innovation in line with country-specific needs and global best practices. Yesterday's discussions reaffirmed that Africa's green economic promise is not theoretical. It is unfolding before us in energy transitions, sustainable business models, and new governance frameworks. Today, we deepen that journey. Day 2 of this conference will spotlight the real-world application of sustainability across Africa's most critical sectors. We will hear from business leaders transforming industries and practitioners implementing sustainability at scale. Our goal today is clear: to turn knowledge into action and systems that deliver long-term, inclusive, and sustainable green economic value. As we proceed, I encourage you to engage deeply, challenge assumptions, forge new partnerships, and commit to the actions that will drive Africa forward. The future we envision requires conviction, collaboration, courage, and a shared resolve to align Africa's economic ambitions with environmental stewardship and social well-being. On behalf of the Dean and community of Lagos Business School, I welcome you once again to this all-important convening, whether you are in person here in Lagos or joining virtually via the live stream from parts of the world. Thank you for your presence, your voice, and your commitment to building a sustainable Africa that will stand strong on the global stage. I wish you an insightful, productive, and transformative deliberation. Thank you.
I think one more time we can do better with a round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Victor. That was very apt. I just want to remind us that this is actually a hybrid conference. So we have some of our participants joining us online via our social media platforms. And just to say to you joining us online, you are very much a part of us here. In fact, it would be nice to know how you're finding out the program has been for you, whether from yesterday or today. So if you could drop some emoji, just so we know, and we are tracking that real time, and we'll be able to tell how you're engaging with what we are doing. So thank you. I think we have information that some people mistook the venue for this event to be at our school. I would say to you that if that's the situation, don't worry. I think we have the good news that the coastal road could be open for you, so you don't have to go through the traffic, right? So if there's anyone maybe joining us virtually and who mistakenly went to our school at Saja, you could take the coastal road so that you beat the regular Friday traffic. Okay, so thank you. In line with our theme, which is the Green Africa Economic Promise, unlocking value through corporate sustainability, we would also be bringing up one of our partners again to come give us their opening remarks around their thoughts on, what the theme really represents. And with pleasure, it's our privilege to welcome on stage the senior partner, PwC, ably represented by also a partner and the person of Marilyn Obasa.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, partners in government, industry, and brilliant minds of the Lagos Business School, good afternoon. Thank you for this invitation. Africa is at a turning point, and the choices we make in the next few years will define the next few generations. It will take clarity of leadership, boldness of vision, and a shared commitment to build prosperity that is both real and resilient. Confidence across the continent is rising. Businesses are rethinking value creation. Young people are building solutions at speed. Citizens are demanding inclusive growth. And at the recent G20 summit hosted in Africa, leaders sent a clear signal: put sustainability, equality, and economic solidarity at the center of global value creation. That is the world we are moving into. Africa must act with intent, minimizing risk and maximizing opportunity. The Green African Economic Promise is a powerful opportunity that's already shaping our discussion in Africa, and it's an opportunity we must claim and use wisely. When we talk about the green, or we talk about greening the African economy, we see it positioning Africa in three major ways. The first is strategic diversification. And the second is deepening innovation, or deeper innovation. And the third is collective, harnessing our collective opportunity. When we talk about sustainability and the economy, how it drives economic diversification, we then begin to look at the blue, green, and circular economy. We have the world's largest young force workforce in Africa, vast, numerable resources, critical minerals for energy transition, and a fast-growing digital economy. On deepening innovation, we are looking at us tackling the high carbon, the negative externalities of the high carbon system, where climate reality is here. Innovation must be watched. Such innovations as the EV, the low carbon fuels, blue hydrogen, biofuels are advancing. Industrial carbon capture is also accelerating, and the carbon market now exceeds $100 billion in revenue. Countries like Ethiopia are planting trees to position themselves. As of today, they have planted 25 billion trees. Kenya has also, benefited 8.8 million as at 2023 from the carbon market. Nigeria has also taken a very good step, which is we now have an approved carbon market framework. And I see the essay to the government of Lagos State on, climate, here as well. So we've done that, and we should give ourselves a round of applause, which is a good one. Gas remains a pragmatic transition fuel. And then we, of course, are seeing AI being integrated in things like the early warning sign, which is protecting our farms. And then, of course, sustainability finance is surging. As we see, again, the Lagos State has issued its first green bond, being the first sub-national to issue that bond. And we are happy as PwC to have supported with that. Guess what? It was oversubscribed by about 94%, which shows a clear market confidence. When we talk about our collective opportunity, many times people ask us, this climate change or climate action is going to obstruct our today. But no, there are opportunities that also ensures that our today is covered and our tomorrow is covered. And these opportunities are green industrialization. We're looking for hubs to do this. And we have the minerals, the land, and the talent to maximize this opportunity. I just talked about sustainable finance. We're looking at unlocking ESG assets of that exceed $40 trillion by 2020. We're looking at the energy transformation. So we all know that energy products will be on high competition in our new world. And the G20 at the recent summit has also committed to tripling the global renewal capacity and finance towards that. On the agricultural systems, we keep on seeing how AI has been integrated into climate-smart agriculture, which is helping with modern integration, irrigation, mechanization, and also supporting with early warning signs for flood and other climate adverse situations. We have the capacity building as an opportunity. Capacity building is going on, and that's where we are today at the Lagos Business School. And we at PwC also have used this capacity building as our social impact because a gap exists and we need to fill it. Last is on regulation and governance. Trust and transparency are now market requirements. And we know already from even yesterday's discussions that the IFRS Sustainability Disclosure Standards are now moving towards mandatory adoption for public interest entity in 2028 in Nigeria, 2027 in Ghana, and many other African countries are working towards adoption. And I'm almost done. Let me be direct. Unlocking value through corporate sustainability is not optional, it is eminent. CEOs and sustainability and business owners must move from piloting or just, sitting, but move from pilots to pipeline, from projects to platform, from compliance to competitiveness. and collaborate across borders to scale what works. 3 takeaways. Why sustainability? Because as at now, it is now value-driven. 60% of CEOs in the PwC Global Survey says their company wants to survive the next decade. And because of that, they are looking at their climate realities, technological disruption, and changing societal expectation. Why now? Regulation is tightening. Consumer appetite is shifting. Basic needs such as affordable, accessible, cleaner, and scalable energy cannot wait. It's also part of our basic needs now. What's the risk of delaying? Compliance pain, missed opportunities, late market entry. Move first, or you help others set the rules. Move late, and you play by someone else. Let me leave you with this quote. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used to when we created them. That's a very popular quote from Albert Einstein. So our challenge is to seek opportunities. African green promise is real. Let's claim it with clarity, boldness, and shared purpose. Thank you.
Please, one more time, let's give her a wonderful round of applause. Thank you, for such a very wonderful speech. Something that struck the attention was the fact that through your firm, you've been able to support Lagos State as the first subnational in terms of issuing a green bond. I think that's a very commendable one. So I think we can sort of appreciate that Lagos State is leading in the sustainability journey. Is that a fair statement to say? Is that a fair statement? And it gives us a lot of pleasure to see in our midst here, we have somebody special and central to this sustainability effort. So let's appreciate and recognize the presence of the special advisor to the Lagos State government on climate change and the circular economy in the presence of Mrs. Titilayo Shodin. Okay, so while we were having that, another of our partners also walked in. Let me find out. Are you ready? Okay. So let's welcome Victoria Owadoka. She's the lead corporate communication, public affairs, and sustainability at Nestle Nigeria PLC.
Very careful. Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a great pleasure to be here. And I can confirm that Lagos State is leading when it comes to sustainability. Always delighted to see Madam Oshodi. Sir Victor, my great people. I mean, it's like we always meet at every event. If it's about the planet, if it's about climate, it's about sustainability. And that shows consistency in our commitment. But today, I'm standing here on behalf of my Chief Executive and Managing Director, Mr. Wasim El Husseini, who would have loved to be here because if I have a champion that gives me the wings to fly, that's him at Nestle. You know, it's not just a tick in the box. So I'm going to be speaking on his behalf. So today is very important. You know, for a couple of years, we've been a part of the LBS International Sustainability Summit because sustainability is important. And Africa stands at a critical position where we must understand that even though the data says we have not contributed as much as other countries or other climes to the climate change impact that we're experiencing right now, if you look at the number of people in our environment who are dependent on agriculture for their livelihood, then we need to pay attention. At Nestle, planet is super important because food and everything that we stand for starts from the earth. So whether it's the soil, whether it's water, whether it's the planet, whether it's carbon emissions. These are all topics that are super important to us. At Nestle, our intention and our purpose remains to unlock the power of food, to enhance quality of life for everyone today and for generations to come. And so that's where you see the linkages. From the farm to the table, everything is dependent on ensuring that the quality is right. And the quality starts from how you start. The quality starts from the input, which means that the input has to be qualitative as well. So we're investing a lot in the cocoa value chain, also in the coffee value chain, in the grains value chain, in the cassava value chain, in the dairy value chain, to ensure that we are practicing what we call regenerative agriculture, which leaves the earth healthy, nourished, and at the right capacity to support the growth of the quality grains, coffee beans, and cocoa that goes into the quality products that we deliver to our consumers daily. Now for us, what is important is the health of our consumers, not health by itself, but health that is supported by the adequate nutrition at every life stage. And that's why we care about people from the cradle all the way through to a qualitative lifestyle at the end of their sojourn, which we must all come to, even though it's uncomfortable to discuss. So today, as we continue with day 2 of the Sustainability Summit, we look forward to hearing more about all the innovation that is happening in our environment. Africa stands at a critical position to benefit from the sustainability discussions and conversations that are ongoing. But Africans must be prepared. Africans must be equipped, and Africans must determine to take the action that is required to drive the change. You know, yesterday one of our speakers, and that's me now, one of our speakers talked about, positioning sustainability as a growth engine. That is what it is. I always tell people that you look at sustainability as a cost, and that's where you have a problem, because sustainability is actually an advantage. It is a value advantage. It is an opportunity. And so I hope that we will leave this conference today, or we'll leave this summit, the second day of the summit, taking action, knowing the more that we can add, and also sharing the critical best practices that we're applying in our own environments to ensure that we're building an ecosystem where everybody understands the benefit of sustainability, understands the benefit of doing things the right way, understands the benefit of doing business for good. That is what we need to do, because that's the only way that we can sustain our businesses in the long term. So here's to the next 150 years of doing business for good and business sustainably. Thank you.
One more time, a round of applause to Victoria. One of the things she did say was that where we get it wrong is when we look at sustainability as a cost. All right? It's a growth engine, and there are lots of opportunities there. So thank you for sort of highlighting that point again. So still saying we recognize our online attendees. We would be happy if you keep engaging with us. We want to see your emojis. How are you looking at the event? Also, if you've got questions, please feel free. We are going to pick up the questions, and you could pose it to anyone who has made any speech so far today. Okay, so this is the day 2 of the conference, and we started yesterday with a virtual conversation. And I don't know if everyone recalls exactly some of the key highlights from yesterday. So if I ask by show of hand, do we recall what we discussed yesterday? Any strong takeaway from yesterday? By show of hand. Does the silence mean you know but you don't want to share? Okay, let's have someone give us a recap of what we discussed yesterday. And in that light, I would like to invite one of the members of the planning committee, in the person of Miriam Jimo Ajoke, who is the ESG lead at Omni Retail. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's session of the LBS International Sustainability Conference Day 2. And permit me to stand on already established protocols while I present the recap of yesterday's session today. Right, so just like our MC had mentioned, one of the very important highlights that was mentioned yesterday was the fact that sustainability is not a cost center. At least I was expecting someone to remember that, because that was very, very important. Right, so we started off yesterday with an opening remark by Dr. Kemi Ogunyemi, and she gave us insights into how Africa is uniquely positioned to rise the wave of the global economy due to the convergence of global sustainability language with Africa's specific demographics and natural capital assets. And in addition to this, she also mentioned to us that sustainability discussions are gradually moving from the margins of the center of, traditional business operations to becoming a key part of business strategies. And she gave us 3 call to actions, which, of course, I believe a lot of us took away from yesterday's session. And this includes we having to move from that mindset of sustainability being a reactive rather than a proactive approach to responsible business. In addition to this, she also mentioned that 3 core C's are required to achieve this proactivity regarding sustainability integration in business operations. And she mentioned that these 3 C's are courage, clarity, and collaboration. And I believe we all would actually agree with me on this one. Right, so the third call to action she gave us yesterday was for us to begin to look into bridging the gap by providing specific call to break down the barriers between African countries to support one another across cultures and contexts to integrate sustainability in business operations. And following this, we had 2 very important persons speak with us from the 2 global sustainability reporting standard setters, globally. That's from the Global Reporting Initiative and the International Sustainability Standard Boards. So we had Bastian Bock speak to us about the importance of sustainability-related metrics and data in helping organizations determine where they are regarding sustainability integration and where they need to be. Because at the end of the day, you still need to determine what your footprints are and how you can actually improve on getting better. Right. Following this, we had Dr. Ndidi speak to us about how ISSB standards are now gradually moving from being voluntary to becoming mandatory into our supply chain. And thank God we have Nesu, who is already doing that to ensure that we, of course, promote local entrepreneurs or local farmers and make them ready for what is about to come regarding the EUDR. Right, so we also had 2 key panel sessions yesterday. And the first panel session we had was actually focused on how companies in the finance, transport, technology, and manufacturing, sectors are integrating sustainability into their business operations. Yeah, we had one of our speakers speak about how TGI Group is actually working to promote local farmers or to promote local sourcing to ensure that farmers are prepared for the sustainable cocoa part of things, which is now mandatory in the EUDR. If you in Europe, if you want to export cocoa from Nigeria to the country, and that's also part of the EUDR requirements. In addition to this, she also emphasized on the fact that sustainability is not a cost center. It is meant to be considered a framework, or should I say, a thing that organizations need to use in identifying opportunities to improve revenue, reduce cost of operations, and to, of course, open new markets, in which, of course, part of this is the EUDR, as mentioned. Right, we also had Ejiro from Sahara Energy discuss with, of course, being in the energy space means it's under this, it's part of this hard to abate, sector, but the company is gradually working to ensure that its operations are aligned with responsible business strategies. And to do this, she mentioned that the company started off by identifying its material issues, and this was followed by integrating sustainability into the operations of different functions within the organization. She also gave us a heads up that the company is also in the process of aligning its reporting practices with the IFRS S1 and S2 standards. And it has already engaged PwC to conduct a gap analysis, which of course is the beginning of the readiness test that is needed to be able to report in alignment with the standard. Right, so in addition to this, from the finance angle, we had a speaker from South Africa, Rand Merchant Bank, who discussed how sustainability is being integrated into their financing practices. That's from screening to exit and from pipeline to portfolio. And yeah, he mentioned that they already have different categories of financing products they use in determining which product is green, which is brown, and which actually needs to be improved on. Right. So following this session, we had the group HSSE at Dangote Refinery discuss with us how the Dangote Refinery is working to integrate sustainability into its operations as well. And this includes the integration of the Dangote Sustainability Strategy, also known as the Dangote Way, into how the refinery actually operates. Right, so the second panel session focused on sustainability in supply chains, which I believe everyone knows that it is the most important, or let's say the key part of sustainability issues that most organizations are faced with, considering that most social impacts that organizations could contribute to are present in their supply chains. Right, so we had 3 top leaders from 3 sectors speak with us about how they are integrating sustainability in their supply chains. So we had Victoria from Nestle, who also discussed with us about how traceability is being used as an anchor to promote responsible sourcing at Nestle. We also had Edwin, who discussed with us how they are, approaching sustainability regarding how distribution is carried out in Diageo, and how they impact local communities by sourcing from local people. And the fact that we see ourselves responsible for developing the capabilities of local suppliers so that local suppliers can also operate at the global level. And then we had Mr. Lawale Adisa from Omni Retail Technologies talk to us about how technology is being used by manufacturers to determine where and how their product is performing at the downstream level of the value chain. And this includes the provision of data on retailers' buying behavior in different locations across different regions, so that they are able to use this data in making production decisions and to also determine the markets they need to penetrate or they need to go into next. Right? So I personally am looking forward to the new learnings we will be getting out of today's session. And I am using this medium to congratulate everyone present here for being a part of this journey of making sustainability a shared responsibility in Africa and in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. Thank you, everybody.
Please, I think Miriam deserves a round of applause. If for any reason you missed out on yesterday, I think she did a brilliant job of just bringing you up to speed. All right. Thank you. So to our online attendees, we see the engagement. Let me just take a few of some of the things they are sharing with us online. So Jeremiah Prapo says what stood out for him yesterday was climate first, but not climate only. Ahmed Olabanji says the key highlight for him was shifting from compliance to creating value through corporate sustainability, with a special focus on how African business can unlock a competitive advantage through innovation, responsible leadership, and climate action. Thank you. Please keep them coming. Emmanuel sends a message to say what he took out from yesterday was 3 C's: courage, clarity, and collaboration. So keep them coming. Those of you joining us online. Again, to those who mistakenly went to our school at Ajah, you can still join us. Information reaching us says that the coastal road can make the journey quite very short if you take it in reaching here. So we are waiting for you. All right. So the last time we did say we have the presence of Lagos State government here. We are proud to have the special advisor on climate change and circular economy here with us. We thought it would be nice to just, get like a big brother word from what Lagos State government is looking at sustainability around, and also what we could take away from that. So it's our pleasure to welcome the special advisor on climate change and the circular economy to Lagos State government to come talk to us. We can do better. Yeah.
Good afternoon, distinguished delegates and colleagues. Always a pleasure to be in the presence of not just the corporate space in Lagos, but also intelligentsia as well. It's one of the areas that we earnestly desire to be able to drive the essence of what we're doing in Lagos, especially from the Office of Climate Change and Circular Economy. I think that, like the MC has said, it's the desire for us to always be present, not necessarily to be actively involved, as it were for this program, but the fact that every information that we're absorbing or every information that we're getting based on the outputs from platforms such as this help us. It guides, the decisions that we make. It guides the information that we want to distill. It also helps us to channel, the dimensions within the framework of what we style, because it provides that feedback mechanism for us. So I'm really happy to be here. It gives me great pleasure. And I think that, the presence here reflects the critical position of intelligentsia as an indication for a growing leadership in the global movement for climate action and for sustainable urban transformation. I will always drive it back to Lagos, because Lagos is where we are clear about our motion. We're clear about our plans, our framework. And Lagos stands as one of Africa's most dynamic megacities, a city of over 20 million people, full of creativity, innovation, ambition, and resilience. And we know that with this growth also comes that pressure that is immensely sitting on infrastructure, on energy, and the environment. And these challenges are not unique to us. They are mirroring the realities that are faced daily on a daily basis by a fast-growing, resilient city across developing world. And so it's within these urban spaces that we need to start to fight against climate change, and we need to position that we're going to win this war. And this is why, as I, continued and I started to soak in, the theme of this event in itself, I don't think it could be more timely, because it essentially captures, the global call for action. It becomes the basis for decision-making in boardrooms, in budget appropriations. It becomes the action for cities to be built, for them to be resilient, to be equitable, and to be sustainable. And I know that for us in Lagos, and every other developing urban city, for that matter, financing for climate solution is a key, critical aspect. And it's not just about securing funds. It's about unlocking partnerships. And I've heard, to my delights, the collaborations, the innovations, the outpour of intertwining of ideas that have started to play out here. Nestle is a long-standing strategic partner with Lagos State. And, one of the things that she mentioned, she didn't even mention the one that really blew my mind the last time we got together, But it's not just about, securing these funds. We also need to unlock and deepen collaborations and partnerships. We need to build trust. We need to ensure that every investment that is delivered touches on environmental just as well as it touches on social returns as well. And in Lagos, we're translating visions like this into action. We're not just, going through that talk shop anymore. We're becoming very, very decisive about, making our talk work. And through innovative public-private partnerships, bold policy reforms, and strategic investments, we are advancing clean and efficient transport. We're scaling renewable energy. We're strengthening waste management through the circular economy. And we're supporting enterprises that create green jobs. These efforts ensure that our transition is not only low carbon, but also inclusive. We want to empower, we're already trying to get as many within the youth demographic into that skill and upskilling bracket. We want to be inclusive, drawing in women, and also getting the informal workers to be part of the solution. One of the areas that Nestle has done quite well also is in being able to formalize our informal waste pickers section by providing them with access to infrastructure, access to clean, sanitary, hygiene conditions that can help sustain their work and also mitigate health risks and also empower them. So I'm particularly pleased that, we have innovations and technologies. We just got back from Belém. I didn't go to Belém. I apologize. But we just got back. I went to Sao Paulo and Rio, and we tabled very, very strong climate resilient solutions that are unique to us because of all of the sectors. We know that waste, renewable energy, and transport are key critical factors for an urban developing society like ours. And so our positioning from a clean cooking stove, pitching clean energy for our women, especially those in the underserved coastal areas who depend on firewood for their livelihoods. For those who are in sustainability, you will understand the degrading nodes and life-deprivating factors that cooking with firewood for years, can happen on a home or on a life. We also had a pioneering biodegradable plastic technology presented by Owando. PwC is also working closely in helping and supporting us to drive the right sustainable policies that should be included in our development plan. So these are powerful examples of how private sector innovation can support government's agenda, create green jobs, and accelerate our transition away from single-use plastics. Is one of the things that we have also become very, very passionate, and we're creating that alternative, so that we know that we cannot do away with these plastics. And we know that our economic trajectory is not strong enough for us to transition or pivot cold turkey away from the usage of plastic. So how can we slow down the disruption that can happen in unemployment or cutting off, production batch lines when that single-use plastic ban happened? So in, balancing the equitable livelihood, we need to start to curate that unique solutions, and that's why the Oando biodegradable solution came in as a very, very strong welcome innovation. So it reflects exactly what we mean by financing urban climate solutions, turning ideas into investments and investments into impact. So I want to implore and I want to appeal that as you engage today, share knowledge, build alliances to promote and to optimize. And I encourage you to carry the Lagos story with you and carry it with pride. Let the world see that a city that is determined, that is dynamic, and that is ready to lead Africa's just and inclusive transition is on the go towards a sustainable future. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much. And we could tell the passion as she speaks. Right? Thank you so much. One of the things that came out was we need to deepen collaborations. I think it came out very strong. So one more time, thank you so much for that wonderful session. Okay, so I guess that time sometimes might not be our best friend, so we have to move really quickly. We would have a panel session very soon. The panel session will be focused on accelerating green and climate-smart industrialization in Africa. But to give some context to what we'll be discussing at the panel session, we would have what I'll call an opening insight presentation. And to do justice to that, please welcome, as I call on stage, Eniola Akinsete. She's the Chief Sustainability Officer at the Bank of Industry. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for having me here to the LBS team. I would also like to congratulate you and appreciate the efforts that you're doing in driving the sustainability agenda in Nigeria. This topic is really focused on how we want to drive clean industrialization, as we call it, to grow or to have an environmentally responsible and socially resilient economy as we go on in the country. And so I'll start off with two stories, two very interesting stories, just showing our experience in the market and how we're working with manufacturers to actually drive this agenda. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so story one is, no, the previous one. Story one talks about an agro-processing company who produces gari and sells. Very productive, very good revenue generation, exciting social impact story because there's a lot of focus around women. But there was a particular problem, or two problems. One was there was a heavy reliance on power, right, to drive the activities of that business. And so there was dependence on the power grid and then also on diesel generators. Second problem was, when you peel the cassava, then you have a lot of waste peel sitting piled up and going into the landfills and doing his work in terms of carbon emissions in there. And so the challenge was, how do we solve these two problems? Interestingly, cassava waste now became biomass energy to run the equipment for the business. So they used waste is gold, you know. They used waste to solve two problems, reducing landmass emissions, and then also now supporting the activities of reducing their cost to power. So there was a cost-efficient opportunity that they were able to take advantage of. Secondly, because they now had the opportunity to be able to, you know, dispel the waste, and then also have save from the power utilization, they were able to now get on more farmers to work. So the social angle box was also ticked. This is a story of how we will expect that industrialization will become clean and resilient as we go on in Nigeria. Story 2 also talks about how you're able to use, is a classic story of circular economy, where they're taking waste from the steel scraps, and converting it to continue to make high-quality iron products. In addition to that, they replaced a carbon-focused furnace to a hydrogen-based one, again reducing emissions. These are the exciting stories that we want to see a lot more of. We hope to be able to capitalize on with the collaboration that everybody has been mentioning in the room today. Now, the challenge with this, when we go to the next slide, is that, not even the challenge, the interesting bit is that there is an increasing growth in terms of how the manufacturing landscape is aligning with GDP. So you can see that there is potential opportunity to grow. We see today many businesses that are growing from being micro and small businesses are producing, they're processing, and they're expanding in their operations. It's our intention at the bank to ensure that these small businesses also now become medium-sized businesses to all large corporates. And so as that trajectory continues, you find that manufacturing continues to closely align with GDP growth to drive industrialization. So, and when you also look at the, you know, you further dimension, you know, where the growth is coming from or the contribution to GDP, you find that the high-emitting sectors are actually the biggest contributors, so food and beverage. You have, I think, what's that, textile, and then the cement company, the cement sector, sub-segments. So again, it's important that we have our eyes very fixed, right, on those sectors, even as we continue to drive industrialization. They can't stop. We have to continue to eat, but we have to eat responsibly. Whoever it is that is producing the food products and what have you, and we're happy to have the likes of Nestle here, must do it responsibly. And so that's the challenge that we always, or not the challenge, the charge that we have at the Bank of Industry to ensure that we're fixing. If we go to the next slide, we find that beyond even having this, there are quite a number of gaps that these manufacturers face today in terms of their operational activity. Also technology and infrastructure, and then the fundamental one is ESG, where we find that quite a number of the large corporates are taking on ESG, but then there is still the issue around, or they're aware of ESG, but there's the issue around adoption. And when adoption is not taken in, then you are unable to actually receive or achieve the gains of clean industrialization, as we call it. The exciting part of sustainability also that we have come to see, and if you look at the very first two case studies that I also presented, is that it drives innovation. There's a problem. When you see the problem and you see it as part of your business model, then it's easier to implement the sustainability or ESG principles. And those are gaps that we now have to actively focus on to see how we can help businesses to bridge. Beyond this, there's an issue around climate as well. So when you look at that map, you find that where you have manufacturing hubs, they are exposed to different types of climate risks that also need to be taken into consideration to ensure that the business remains a going concern. And so when we look at all of this, we think that it's doom and gloom. But there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. If we start to look at the policy landscape, for instance, as we see on the next slide, we find that the country is already positioning to see how we can support manufacturers in getting into that direction where they are able to be environmentally sustainable. The NDC contributions is critical. That we have to start to look at actively. And when we start to see sustainability as part of a corporate strategy, as part of the business model, then it becomes easier for us to be able to execute and meet some of these policy regulations that have been defined. We talked about the exciting bit that the carbon market is already, the carbon market framework has been approved, which is exciting. We have a climate change policy. We have the climate change fund as well that has also been approved. All of these are also in the direction of helping manufacturers absorb, not just manufacturers, but aware of all of these issues. And for us, when we start to think about embedding sustainable markets, I'm also able to access funding. So what we're doing from that standpoint is creating a global village as to how, when you're able to meet, for manufacturers to be able to meet criteria that will not only allow them or afford them the opportunity to access local funding, but also be able to now be well positioned for international capital, be it equity or debt. Now, the sustainable financing framework also helps us to now target, as a bank now, to deepen our sustainable financing activities because it's priority. It's in our DNA as a DFI, right, to be able to propel this agenda. So because we have defined this, then client investors to give us tailored funding that we can now on-lend to Nigerian businesses that meet the criteria that we've defined. This framework has been approved or has been validated with the second-party opinion by the S&P Global, and so it positions both us and also the ultimate beneficiaries in a very good light to be able to access funding, be it locally or internationally. The other thing that we also continue to do is that even as we have defined the SFF, it's not enough for the projects to come to us. Again, ensuring that ESG principles are evident along the way in terms of the operations of the business or the project that comes to us for financing is critical. And so when we look at our life cycle of all our credits, you find that we have integrated or mainstreamed ESG framework or ESG principles all the way from customer acquisition to credit due diligence and all the way to monitoring. So basically we say that when you come to us with a project, whether green, social or not, irrespective, we will appraise those projects in line with ESG frameworks and performance standards that have been defined locally and internationally, just to be sure that whatever risks that you have to experience or that project will experience is adequately mitigated. And where we find that there are gaps, we work with those customers to actually develop a management plan that they will be able to implement and absorb. So for us, this is why I keep saying it's a solution. It's not enough for us to give you a facility. It's also for us to run with you on that journey around how you are taking on ESG and how you're embedding it into your operations. All of this also we are also very much aware that to successfully execute these principles, there is a need for capacity building. And so from that standpoint, we have a lot of collaboration with local and international partners where we now take capacity building activities, not just to our staff, but also to our partners and the MSME landscape. In October this year, we had our very first ESG conference, which was really to open MSMEs up to understanding how to adopt these principles, what the benefits of these principles to them, and having people who have done this, similar MSMEs coming to share their stories. That's the advocacy role that we're very big on playing. And it's also a role that for us is very important to drive growth and to also attract partners to help to support ESG embedding in operations. Finally, when we look at the journey to clean industrialization from the lens of BOI, I think firstly, it's all about ecosystem collaboration. I think that's critical. I'm sure we would flog and over. We can't overflog collaboration in events like this. I think it's beyond us. We have to get away from the mentality of working in silos to actually coming together to achieving a goal. Financiers, the regulators, the NGOs, the other capital providers, capacity enterprise development partners, we all need to come together to support that journey for our MSMEs and large corporates. And I think when we look at that, we have an enabling environment. We're able to continue to work to see how we action those policies, into becoming realities. Going with tailored financing solutions that match and align products, looking at the product value chain and identifying the challenges around making sure that they are bankable products. Products are viable for financial institutions to be able to even lend to in the first place. And then more importantly, continuing to develop capacity that takes us from where we currently are now into our clean industrialization revolution. Thank you very much.
Okay, so one more time, a round of applause for her again. That was very insightful, and it's very good to see the work that the Bank of Industry is doing around sustainability, and we know that that's also down to your leadership. So let's quickly get into the panel discussion, where we can sort of use the insights we've gathered from the presentation and sort of, address things in a bit more detail. So, first person I'll be calling up to join on the panel session, just to confirm, she'll be joining us virtually, is Shakira Mustafa. She's the Chief Risk Officer and Sustainability Officer at Julius Berger. So just to confirm, is she online with us? Oh, perfect. Can you also hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And then the next person we'll call is Demola, who is the head of ESG assessment at the Bank of Industry. A round of applause. Okay, so I'll go there. Yeah, okay, doesn't. Okay, so I think we've had a very good, insightful presentation from the Bank of Industry, and we've seen some of the work they're doing around what I would call clean industrialization. I think this is important for us in Africa. There's still quite a lot Africa can do. Also, Nigeria can do when it comes to industrialization, especially as we look at expanding our GDP. But we also must think about how we can do that sustainably. Also looking at policies that will drive that as well, and all the big opportunities, whether it's around the circularity in the processes that we utilize in our industrialization, or just thinking about climate smart, friendly infrastructures we could use for our industrialization. So before we get into it, I think just some sort of opening statement around the theme, around green industrialization, clean industrialization. So what would be your take?
All right, thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here. I think we've talked about it a lot, sustainability. If we just break it down a little bit, what is sustainability? Simply meeting the needs of today without affecting future generations. I just had some small children. When I look at them and I think what tomorrow holds for them, it encourages me to be more sustainable. At the Bank of Industry, we see sustainability not as an add-on to industrialization, but as a core driver of competitiveness, resilience, and long-term value creation The Chief Sustainability Officer has spoken at length on that, so I won't flog it too much. We recognize that Africa's industrialization cannot follow the old high emission model. It must be climate smart. Yeah. And I think at the Bank of Industry, what we encourage most is how we can leapfrog into sustainable industrialization. I know people will always say that it's when it's come to our turn to industrialize that these guys in the West have brought these standards and stuff. But at the end of the day, we must realize that these things, yes, we're not the major contributors. You contribute in Africa maybe less than 1%. However, these things are affecting us already. We can see the struggles that we face in the Sahel. With one major thing that's happened there, the shrinking of Lake Chad. It's brought down, people can't fish, livelihoods have been affected, and it's affecting us here in Lagos with banditry and kidnapping and whatnot. So it's not enough to say that because we didn't do it, we should then use the old model. We need to leapfrog.
All right.
I think I'll leave it at that.
That was just the opening salvo. I know you have a lot to share with us. Okay, let's come to Shakira. Shakira, just your opening statement generally around what we've started discussing.
Okay, so in a lot of ways, going to the issue for us in Africa shouldn't be around should we adopt sustainability or should we go into industrialization or should we go towards doing industrialization. It should be about how soon we can and how well we can leapfrog and harness the available resources that we have, and also borrow from learning from the failures of the industrialized world, because we've seen where they have failed and the harm that they have caused into the environment based on how they achieve their industrialization. So we can borrow from that template and not make the same mistakes that they have made, and use our own resources in a smarter way, leapfrogging, but also learning from their template, so we would get the best of both worlds. We would industrialize, we would not only industrialize, but we would industrialize in a green, smarter, and cleaner way that will be better for all, not just for us, but for the generations of Africans that are coming after us.
All right, thank you. For the generations after us is somewhere how you ended that. So let me still stay with you. We know the role that Julius Berger plays when it comes to construction and industrialization in the country and even beyond. So give us a sense on how you factor in sustainability, maybe around climate-related risk or broadly any sustainability-related risk in terms of the operational decision-making that goes on. So how is that sort of factored in the decision-making and the operations of the business as a whole?
Okay, so the funny thing is, for a very long time, even before the goals of sustainability started, Julius Berger has been a company that has had it in some way, in sort of its DNA to be conversant and aware of sustainability principles, especially around the social bits and around the safety and well-being of his employees, not just of his employees, but the environment, the society where we work at. But talking more around the recognition of sustainability as a tool in today's world, I'm just going to pick one particular project that we did that is not just socially friendly, but also environmentally friendly. And it's a very, very large project that was like an hallmark, I would say, in West Africa. And that's the construction of sections of the Abuja-Kano road. So there's this section of road between or 2019 thereabouts. This road was built before, but sections of it has been damaged. So when Julius Berger was awarded this road, rather than go through the normal way of excavating and relaying and all of those things, the company had to introduce a sustainable way of recycling the asphalt on that road. So that was the first time that would be done. It's not a new technology in the outside world, but that was the first time it would be done in West Africa, where we would harvest already existing asphalts, recycle them, make them more stabilized, and now relay it So it's just like taking something that would have been used as a waste. A lot of speakers have talked about waste being gold. So what was it considered as construction waste was now transformed into material for road construction. So that not just saved the environment in terms of resources, it also saved the timing of construction, because the duration of the construction of the road was also reduced based on this technology that was adapted. So this is one of the ways that we have introduced into our strategy, to one of the ways that we have used sustainability and recycling into our operations for construction use. Another thing that we've done is a lot of times we do prefabrication of our buildings, or of our structures rather. So that saves a lot of time, that saves a lot of materials, and it reduces the error rate. We prefabricate and we move them to site, because that's one of the ways that you reduce waste in construction. Then other things that we consider we have adopted the mentality of cradle to cradle and not cradle to grave in our construction. So we take into cognizance the life cycle of our construction, of our buildings. As much as we are designing, it starts from the designing phase. When we design, we put into consideration the life cycle, we put into consideration the end use of these items that we're to be constructing for our clients, or that our clients are going to be using in the buildings that we are constructing for, or in the infrastructure that we're constructing for them. So these are some of the ways that we have implemented into our construction methodology and our construction processes, bearing in mind that sustainability is one thing that we want to continue to build on as a company.
Very good. I like the idea around, you said, all wastes, you view them as gold, and sort of ensuring that you find a way to plow them back again, right? Which is really the concept around circularity in itself. Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you in a minute. So let's come back to BOI. Obviously, Eniola was presenting and she shared the sustainable finance framework. And it will be interesting for not just the presentation, but a lot of people on this call could be looking at BOI and wondering, are there sustainable financing frameworks or products that you have that they can sort of tap into here? So the question would be, how is BOI deploying sustainable finance? Are there products that you have to support, sustainability-linked, efforts, innovation, climate smart industrialization, so what sort of products do you have, and how are you supporting businesses that might need those sort of products?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Sustainability-linked financing. It's a bit of a trick question, but I know you're not trying to trick me. Sustainability-linked finance, if we just break it down a little bit, this refers to loans or credit facilities where the terms of the financing are directly tied to a borrower's performance to predefined sustainability KPIs. That is what it is technically. I guess what we're asking here is what we're doing in terms of sustainable products, because technically, Nigeria does not adopt that currently. Our ecosystem does not apply that currently. So we're not applying that. But what are we doing in the bank? Firstly, we have green products in the bank. Okay. We have a dedicated solar desk. Okay. Solar group. These guys fund renewable energy. Mini grids, solar for homes, solar for your businesses. That's the first product that we have. In fact, there was a project that I went to visit in Abuja, a printing press. They had taken a facility from us to go solar, about $1 billion. So we have that solar. Secondly, we've instituted climate finance within our large enterprises directorate. We have a climate finance group. These guys, they fund adaptation or mitigation projects, large projects. So we go out, they look for those projects, and we see how we can fund them. Thirdly, as the Chief Sustainability Officer said, we've embedded sustainability in credit appraisal, the project life cycle from inception to when the facility is fully paid off. We appraise each project by looking at the climate risks, the ESG risks. Where possible, we come up with action plans for those projects, and we encourage them to embed ESG principle. Fourthly, I'll be quick now. Fourthly, it's capacity building. Yeah. It's central to our approach. We work with a lot of external stakeholders, be it African Development Bank, FSD, whoever, Lagos Business School. We're happy to work with you guys on capacity building. The Chief Sustainability Officer touched on the conference that we did. This was to bring ESG to medium-sized companies, encourage them to embed ESG. We don't see ESG as a problem. We see it as a solution. So as much as possible, we try to encourage that. Thank you.
All right. So I liked what you mentioned also capacity building, and my head of executive education just really looked at you there, when he did say that. Okay. I still come back to you. Because of the role of your organization, this is a development finance institution. So let's take it from a policy lens. Would you what are your thoughts on policies or maybe regulatory reforms that might be needed to scale the opportunities for your climate financing, like you said, or your green financing? I could swear I heard 100 billion when you were speaking not too long ago. So what would you say on the policy side, regulatory reforms? What would be your thoughts, given the role of your firm?
Well, in terms of policy, BOI is obviously we're a policy bank. Nigerian government is a Paris Agreement, is a Kyoto. There's so many policies. There's so many frameworks. The Climate Change Act. We have NESRIA. We have, for banks, Nigerian Sustainable Banking Principles. We have so many things that are there to encourage climate action, to encourage sustainability. So I won't say the government government hasn't done enough. Government has done a lot. Now, how can what government has done then lead to a more sustainable environment? Maybe there are three things. Enhancing policy alignment and cross-agency coordination. I think that's been mentioned. We don't need to flog that too much because of time. Increasing industry awareness and guidance, which is part of what Bank of Industry is doing with our credit appraisal system, where if you come into us, we appraise you based on climate and ESG factors. So doing that, we're creating awareness. Our ESG conference, creating awareness. Lagos Business School, this conference that we're doing here, we're creating awareness. So we need to just create more awareness as well to show what the government is doing. And maybe develop sector-specific industrial transition pathways. It's also very important so that each sector can know what sustainable standards they should follow. Because it's not clear, but there are a lot of things that the government has put in place. Federal government has put in place. State governments have put in place. If you look at what Lagos State is doing, marvelous, excellent, very, very encouraging. And what BOI is also doing, obviously, we're coming in from the federal government side. It's also a lot. So, and then you have other states like, all the ministries of environment. So they all have laws, they all have policies that they've put in place. But then it's just allowing organizations work together, create more awareness so that these manufacturers can take advantage.
Thank you. I like the point on sector-specific pathways, or like decarbonization pathways would also be very helpful. Because every sector in itself too will have its complexities and peculiarities as well too. Okay, Shakira, let's come back to you. So maybe something to just ask you would be, if you look through some of the sustainability efforts your firm has been in, which ones would you say are delivering the most significant outputs maybe environmental benefits for your firm, So which of the interventions would you say your firm has embarked on that is delivering the most significant output?
Well, that will be a hard one to talk about now because we have approached it in a multi-pronged way. There are so many things that we're doing, and each has been yielding different types of results based on their own different parameters. So to have like a scale of ordinance about which one triumphs over another, I don't think I'll be able to give you that now. Because like I said, there are a lot of things that we're doing. And a lot of times I tell people that for Julius Berger, our sustainability approach or our sustainability system is thought of two ways. We are a construction company and we have our own internal operations as a construction company, which is largely under our control. And we also have those actions or activities that are not outside, that are outside our control. Rather, we have the ones that are based on client specifications and desires, and we have the ones that are based on the systemic way or the ecosystem with which we operate in, that is Nigeria as a whole, so to speak. So when we have clients demanding for certain types of products or certain types of structures, as much as we try to advise them or as much as we try to tell them that, okay, these are ways or to improve on it or type of benefits that they can get from such things, some buy into it, some do not, depending on their level of maybe I would say perception or affinity towards sustainability principles. So that is still a journey that is still being pushed as a company towards the market as a whole. So that has a facet to do with, okay, the type of environment that we're in Nigeria and the appreciation of sustainability principles and policies across the Nigerian ecosystem. For the one that is internal to us, that is our operations. Of course, we have decarbonization projects that we're going through. It's common knowledge that the gas is a transition fuel, and we've adopted CNG utilization in a lot of our sites. We've also moved towards use of photovoltaic systems, solar adoption as a cleaner way of generating power to power our operational sites, our offices, and even our camps. We have waste management systems that are being integrated now into our cross-board and even working in collaboration with several other waste recycling companies to have an holistic approach into our waste management. And I said, for one thing again that is peculiar to the construction companies, a lot of the things that we do starts from the design phase. We have an engineering and designing company that does the designing. So before you see the physical structure, a large part of the conceptualization or a large part of the work is being done at the design phase. So seeing the physical structure is like the last part of the construction cycle or the construction value chain. So the design phase is also something that we've integrated a lot of sustainability principles and ideas and concepts into how we design our projects that affects material usage, that affects time usage, that affect resources that are deployed, and also affect the life cycle of those items that we are constructing or that we are building, even up to the specificity or the desires of our clients. So for me to give you an ordinance scale, I don't think I'll be able to do that. But I will say that we do not see sustainability as a cost. We see it as a journey towards realizing the benefits and harnessing the benefits of sustainability, which is ultimately to have an operations that is sustainable and a business that is sustainable and that will continue to exist in a sustainable way, not just for now, but also for handing over the legacy to those that will come after us. Again, I'm ending with that.
Thank you. And
I can't hear what you're saying. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now, but I didn't hear what you said earlier.
Okay, no, you said you would end with that. So I said, let me allow you end properly. If you had any other final thoughts again.
Well, I think I've said it, and sustainability is something that is new, especially in this part of the world. And a lot of people, the passion around sustainability is growing.
The regulation around sustainability is growing also, but there's a lot that needs to be done. There's still a wide gap that needs to be filled, especially around regulation, especially around policies, especially around collaborations that would help and coalesce the individual efforts of several organizations, several companies, or several bodies around sustainability. A lot of work is being done in silos. So it's important there's this coalescence about how sustainability principles and policies is being driven so that we'll have a more significant impact around sustainability and the implementation of sustainability in Nigeria as a whole.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was very helpful. So let me come back to you, Demola. So in final, what would be your thought generally? And give us some final shots.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, Nigeria is doing well. NCCC, they're doing well. We're becoming more climate and sustainability focused as a country. The awareness is growing. We see the great work that Nestle is doing, Lagos State is doing, Lagos Business School is doing, Dangote is doing, BOI is doing. You know, we can go on and on. So I think the outlook is good if we continue this way, but we need to create more awareness so that the ordinary man on the streets starts thinking sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let's give the both of them a round of applause. I think the key message is that we must think about not just today, but we must also think about tomorrow in the way we do things. And I think there's obviously opportunities for innovation. We could see that from the use case that was shared with us by Shakira on how they look at waste as gold and how they think about that in their construction process, what to do with the waste that they find and how they feed them back again into the process. And also the great work you're doing in BOI in terms of creating products that's really addressing some of these sustainability issues. You have a climate finance desk. You also have a desk focused around solar and green financing itself. All right, so let's give them a final round of applause. Yeah. Okay. Ms. Shakira, I want to take a group picture, and the world as we have it now means even if you are virtual, you still join us in the group picture. So we'd still like you to have your video on. So I think I would invite the head of executive education at Lagos Business School to also come join in the picture. So you guide us. Do we stay here?
Or should we stand close to that? So we can all...
Do we stay near her? Okay, so Shakira, we're coming back to snap with you, but let's have one.
I love the smiles.
Oh, okay.
So we're coming over to snap with Shakira on the screen.
Let's just have the call, and she will be on the background. Let's just have the call.
So one more time, let's give everyone a round of applause. So thank you to Demola, thank you Shakira as well, and still feel free to stay with us online if you can. Thank you. Again, we are taking your feedbacks, your comments virtually. We see you. Continue to share your thoughts. What has stood out from you, from what has been said. We are happy to take that. So next we'll have just a small video interlude. Want to run like a poll. Video. All right. So just a small video. So while the video will be playing just for a couple of minutes, we will be welcoming MTN to come share with us a case around their experience in terms of sustainability. So that is what we'll have next. But let's just have a small video interlude. So those online, share with us your thoughts. We are happy. We are seeing them. Thanks for engaging with us. And also to those here, if you've got any feedback, we are happy to also have that as well too. Okay,
about
so just
Africa.
We're going to be having a
Some
case
see struggle.
presentation.
We see opportunity. This
And please, if you have a question for us, you can also signify. We are happy to take your questions. Questions, comments, we're happy to take them.
What is it about Africa? Some see struggle. We see opportunity. This is where we thrive. Africa is a land of contrasts. Hundreds of millions of our people live without access to clean water and electricity. Yet we have more entrepreneurs than any other continent. And by 2050, half of the world's youth will be African. Africa's been busy. We're urbanizing, embracing technology. We're sprinting forward with some of the fastest growing economies in the world. It's time for African-driven solutions to African problems. It's time to seize the moment and create our own narrative to build the Africa.
Okay, so I think there's a small challenge with the video, so we'll just move on next. So let's welcome the rep from MTN, Temilade Olabanji, who's going to call a presentation around the experience of MTN communication. Please, let's give her a wonderful round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here. Can I have the slides? Can I come down? I think it's okay. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share our journey at MTN. So today I'll be walking you through what our journey was as early adopters. We're one of the 4 adopters that adopted IFRS S1 and S2 in 2024. So can we go to the next slide, please? So I'll just talk briefly about MTN Nigeria. Who are we? What was the background and rationale for our early adoption? How was our journey? If you look at a snapshot of our journey, and what was the approach we used, challenges that we faced, the opportunities, that we also gathered. And then we look beyond adoption, and then we have lessons for future adopters. We know that many organizations are looking to also get on the journey. Next slide, please. I'm sure everybody is, if you ask here, almost everyone has an MTN SIM. Telecom, what did you say, Ma? You have to. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we are the leading telecoms services provider in Nigeria. I think something happened to this slide. Maybe it's the font or something, but this was definitely it's not Nigeria me. Okay, so our strategic intent is to lead digital solutions for Africa's progress, and we believe that everyone deserves the benefits of a modern, connected life. Where we connect over 85 million people in Nigeria, and our leadership position in coverage and capacity and innovation has remained consistent from the time we came into the country in 2001. Next year will be 25 years in Nigeria. Next slide, please. So we have our strategy, which is Beyond Ambition 2025, and they are hinged on 4 pillars. We want to build the largest and most valuable platforms, drive industry-leading connectivity operations, create shared value is at the core of our ambition, our strategy, and where we have ESG at the core, and then we want to also accelerate portfolio transformation. Our values that are very dear to us: we lead to care, can do with integrity, we collaborate with agility, serve with respect, and act with inclusion. I've mentioned this because this guides how we relate, as a culture in MTN. Moving to the next slide, this is just to show you our sustainability strategy. So it's subsists on doing for tomorrow today, and like Shakirat said, things that we do today will have impact on the next generation. So what we've done is we have 4 pillars: doing for planet, that has to do with our achieving net zero, doing for people, digital and financial inclusion. We have doing it right, and then doing for growth. These are all different pillars of our ESG strategy. We have metrics and actions that we are also tracking under each of the pillars. So we can move to the next slide, please. I'm just going to go right into the background and our rationale for adoption. In 2002, FRC announced the early adoption of IFRS S1 at COP27, making Nigeria the first African country to do so. And at June of 2023, during the launch, our chairman also said that we were going to adopt the standards early with FRC. We wanted to also, signal to the Nigerian market that we wanted to be a transparent company that would assist the nation in realizing that ambition. We fulfilled our commitments by releasing IFRS S1 and S2 compliance statements in 2024, and the second one we did was last year. So what was our background? Strategic imperative. So early adoption reflects for us, it's not just a a compliance requirement. It's a strategic imperative. We believe that companies that want to drive long-term value, they need the standards. And we also know that around the world, many economies are converging globally. We have IFRS S1 and S2. It came from the call from many standards that we have. We have a potpourri of standards, and we're looking for a global baseline. So what we wanted to do was to also show that we are aligning with global disclosure expectations. We recognize that capital markets are converging around the world, and decision-useful disclosures are what our investors, our stakeholders are looking for. So we also wanted to be transparent and provide those disclosures to our stakeholders. We also wanted to streamline and improve our reporting quality. We adopted the main IFRS for accounting in 2005, even before Nigeria adopted. So having this opportunity on the sustainability side also gave us an opportunity to, streamline our reporting and improve our qualitative disclosures. We also saw it as a way of improving our risk management with the compliance as well. Climate risk, sustainability risks, they are critical for our sector. We have masks, even though we've outsourced them, and anything that happens to them, has an impact on the sustainability or the growth of the company. So we know that adopting the standards will help us even to understand better our sustainability and climate risks, and then put in strategies to mitigate those risks. And then access to capital flows. We have lots of trillions of dollars in ESG investor-focused funds that if companies are able to demonstrate to investors that you're a transparent company, you know what these risks are, you better attract, ESG-focused investment for yourself. I'll go to the next slide. So this is our journey. This is quite difficult to see. So I'll try. So in 2019, let me use the iPad here. So in 2019, when we became listed on the premium board of the stock exchange, that was when we released our maiden sustainability report. We accounted for Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions during that year as well. In 2020, we linked ESG KPIs to executive remuneration, and that means that it's not just something that is left to the people. The tone was set from the top, so we linked it in 2020. And then in 2021, we signed up with Science-Based Target Initiative to say that we're going to become net zero by 2040. So we committed to a net zero ambition by 2021. In 2022, we conducted a limited assurance of some of our KPIs. And in 2023, we accounted for Scope 3 emissions for the first time. And in 2024, we released the first IFRS S1 and S2 compliance sustainability report. So we can go to the next slide, please. So we adopted a 4-phase approach on the journey. And the first one was to perform a gap analysis. So what exactly are the IFRS standards? We looked at it. We were members of the FRC Adoption Readiness Working Group. It gave us on-time information, the things that preparers, regulators, industry, public sector, we were all there. So we're members of that body. We got learnings from there. We analyzed the disclosure requirements relative to our current practices to see where there are gaps. And then we did a desktop analysis to identify areas of alignment and where we needed to, get information. Phase 2 was internal preparation. There was a lot of engagement internally. We had to get teams from finance, risk and compliance, the network teams. We all worked together to educate them and to tell them what exactly is the standard about, what's the importance. And because we adopted very early, the standards were released in June 2023, and then we had to release almost a year later. So there was a bit of a rush, so we had to get everyone to understand what the standards were about. We identified our data sources to ensure data completeness and accuracy. And then we also established clear accountability for sustainability reporting. So we wanted a process where we wouldn't just get data. The data will come from different departments, but we made all the executives, the GMs understand that this data had to be, you had to sign off on it. You have to make sure it is complete and accurate. We just don't want to put anything in our report. We defined internal review and approval processes for sustainability. And then we trained sustainability champions on the standards and on sustainability reporting in general. The phase 3 had to deal with reporting. We developed a detailed reporting plan, outline, We commissioned consultants, and this was very, very important because it's a new area. We had consultants that, subject matter experts to also walk us through, so we did it together with them. We continually monitor the ISSB website for updates and developments, and then we also participated in industry events to compare notes and share best practices. Sessions like this, we had lots of sessions where we were always, meeting and engaging with other like-minded entities as well. Post-impact assessment, we reviewed the early adoption process to identify opportunities for improvement. We engaged leadership data owners to increase awareness and understanding of our sustainability commitment. So when we had that initial engagement with them, we told them this is something that has come to stay. It's not what we are doing once. It's going to be every year, and then we need to continually refine our processes. We also conducted a climate scenario analysis in line with IFRS S2, and then we continually close gaps that we've identified in the reporting process. And then we're also preparing for external assurance as well. You can go to the next slide. So just to share some challenges that we had, data collection and validation. This was key to ensure accuracy and completeness of data. Gathering Scope 3 emissions, was quite challenging across our value chain. Internal expertise. When we started, like I mentioned, we had to invest in trainings for board members, for sustainability champions, for executives. There was a lot of training and capacity building that took place. I would also talk about cost. Trainings, they are not cheap. Data systems, conducting climate scenario analysis, and then also having the support from the top also helped us with the budgetary resources that we needed. So it's very important that your executives, the board, are involved in this process from the onset. So whenever you need money to come for any of the project, they'll be able to give it to you. Alignment with the existing framework. So prior to that, we reported with GRI and SASB. So we had to also align it with IFRS and S2, looking at how to map our disclosures in line with what we already have as well was also a challenge. And then time constraints, like I mentioned, we had to do so many things at the same time. FRC wanted us to submit some readiness, some early adoption readiness documents. We had to submit that. We had to do trainings. We had to get a system. We had to do so many things. So time constraints was also one of the challenges that we had. Next slide, please. So some opportunities for us, some of the gains, leadership commitment. So for us, because we have, there is a Social and Ethics Sustainability Committee that was established in 2022. So that committee is responsible for ESG strategy oversight. So they knew of this. So we had that buy-in from the beginning. So anything we wanted, approvals, budgetary resources, everything, came from that leadership commitment. So it was very, very important for us. Enhanced competitive advantage. We believe that with these standards, we've strengthened our credibility. Investors are looking for transparent entities that would give them information that is useful for their decisions. So we believe that it has enhanced our competitive advantage. Innovation and efficiency gains, early adopter status, we got awards from FRC. I'll also talk about digital tagging in the next slide. We also digitally tagged our disclosures as well. Gains from the Adoption Readiness Working Group. We're members of the Transition Implementation Group of ISSB, so it also gave us, learnings and early insights, capacity building opportunities, making our transition smoother. Improved risk management. From the climate scenario analysis we did, we had to build it on. So we have an enterprise-wide risk framework management. So using the information from the climate scenario analysis, it's just fit into our enterprise risk management. So it also helped us to improve our resilience planning, through that avenue as well. Enhanced stakeholder trust. People are better able to trust us. The social license to operate is better reinforced. And then we've seen moderate increase in our ratings. We reported to CDP in 2024 for the first time. We got a B- for climate change and C for water security. It means that we're in they placed us in the management band, meaning that we understand the impact of climate change and then we are taking actions, to reduce this. So that is one of the gains for us. If we go to the next slide. So going beyond adoption, so one of the things we also did, we just thought to mention here, was to also digitally tag our reports. And the reason was because we wanted our disclosures to be available to a wider range of audience globally. And the rationale, enhanced market credibility and investor confidence. So if you go to our website, you are able to look at our disclosures. If you are looking for specific disclosures, once you click on it, you can get all the things we reported. So we adopted it to meet growing investor and regulatory demand. It will soon come to Nigeria. We know that Nigeria would soon introduce it, so we are trying to be ahead of the curve. The initiative reinforces our leadership in transparency, governance, and digital innovation across Africa. We've tagged our 2023 and 2024 reports. If you go to the next slide, just to show you the results of some of the, at least the gaps that we had. So when we looked at ISSB alignment, SASB alignment and GRI. So this just shows you how aligned we are with ISSB. If you look at our reports, 93% alignments. The key gaps we have: lacks quantitative financial information about climate-related risk and opportunities. So all the gaps that are here helped us to know that in our subsequent reports, these are the areas we need to report on, or these are the areas we need to improve on. For GRI, we have 74% alignment, quantitative disclosure on related material topics such as water discharge, energy intensity, waste directed to disposal. So these are key learnings for us to improve in our upcoming reports. So the last slide, please. Lessons for future adopters. So early engagement of leadership is very, very important. You need to engage your leadership early, get them on board, let there be, if there's no committee, it's very, very important that you have a committee at the board level. A dedicated department was created in 2023 for sustainability at MTN. We didn't have that. So we have a department called Sustainability and Shared Value. That was when the department was created. It also helps to get all the information in. Before then, I was in the investor relations department, and then we used to have reports from the group and external people asking for sustainability information. So having like a dedicated desk is very, very important. Another key thing is to embed ESG into core business strategy. If you are able to do this, then it will ensure that every decision that is being made on the business level will be looked at through the lens of environment, social, and governance. So it's important that it is embedded into the core business strategy. Data systems are very important. You need a centralized place to put all the data that you want to use for reporting. We also encourage that entities will adopt a structured phased implementation. It is a journey. It's not something that you can do in one year. The mandatory adoption is 2027. So we still have about 1 year or so. So it's something that you can have plans, put in processes in place that this is what I want to do in Q1 of this year, Q2, have a structured process for implementation. Then build internal expertise through training and capacity building. This cannot be overemphasized. You need to do lots of reading, capacity building, attend trainings. Then the last point, which I said, leverage global learning resources. There are so many resources online. The ISSB has a knowledge hub that has millions, I don't want to say millions of material. They have a lot of material that you can leverage on, learn so many things. Thought leadership articles by the Big Four, KPMG, PwC, they are all available. So these are the things we believe that would help future adopters on their journey. So I think this is just what we have from MTN. Thank you very much. I'll take questions.
Please, one more time. I think that was very insightful. So just for context, the IFRS sustainability reporting is more like the direction now for sustainability reporting in the country. So to make it, you also appreciate what we've just heard. Nigeria chose to be an early adopter, and then MTN also chose to be an early adopter in itself again, right? So that was quite significant for them. And many of the experiences that they went through is sort of shaping how firms now coming after them are also embarking on their own sustainability reporting. And all the points that you did make are somewhat what it is really at the end of the day. So thanks for that experience. I think it's a great opportunity if your firm is embarking on this journey to ask firsthand a question and just sort of learn directly from them. You might not get these sort of opportunities, a lot of the time. So we open up to questions. So let's see if we can take that. So I see one person. I've seen a second person. Okay, it's all in that direction. No, nobody here. All right, let's go that way. I need to manage the mic. Okay. Wow.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ekwe Mwabudike, and I operate in this space in the ESG and sustainability. So I think mine is more of questions and learning. So I think the first question I have for you is that I wanted to understand how MTN managed the whole situation around interoperability, right? Because from the screen that you had shared, I did see that there was the SASB, and then you had the GRI, and then you had the IFRS. So for other organizations that are willing to learn, I'm trying to understand, how do we manage all of this data? It's too much reporting going on. There's just so much documents all over the place. And then 1 minute, there's the narrative around, oh, we do have one standard that we're adopting, which is the IFRS S1 and S2. And then in your report, you're referencing GRI, you're referencing SASB. What really is the point of having a central reporting standard if many organizations like yourselves are still going to be, dipping hands in all of these other frameworks? That's my first question. And then the second one is around the greenhouse gas accounting. Scope 3 is very, very difficult to account for. So what were the critical issues around the Scope 3? I know that you did mention that the report is available for But just to hear from you, the Scope 3 emissions, how difficult was that in terms of being assurance ready for the report that you put out? So those would be my two questions for MTN.
Thank you.
All right. How do you want it? You want to...
Let me answer.
Exactly. You got the two questions?
Yes,
just
I
for
did.
clarity?
Yes, I
okay.
did.
So,
so the first one, the interoperability. If you look at our report, you would see that we used GRI, SASB, ISSB, IFRS. And we had how should I call it, earlier this year with FRC. We had preparers, we asked them questions, and the information was given to us that our sustainability reports using IFRS should just be very short, not too bulky like we have. But we told them that, okay, we were using the standards before IFRS came in. How do you want us to, report? Bearing in mind that the financials and then the sustainability disclosures have to be ready at the same time. So what they said to us was that they wanted a concise version of IFRS S1 and S2 to come with the financials when they are released. Then you can now do the later one where you have the GRI, the SASB, and the other one. GRI is even under IFRS right now. So what we are doing currently is that we are still reporting using everything. But I believe that as time goes on and then we get regulatory directive from FRC, it will be better. But right now we have, if you look at our reports, we have everything. So if you check, you have a section for IFRS disclosures. If you go to our content index, you have IFRS disclosures. We have GRI where we referenced. We have SASB. Then we have even NGX as well that we also need to report. So that's how we sorted that. Now for Scope 3, we're a member of a group, 19 countries, and our Scope 3 emissions reporting is driven from the group. So in 2023, we developed a reporting protocol where all the OPCOs had to look at all the categories and look at the ones that were applicable to them. One of the things we're also doing under Scope 3 is to get our suppliers, top suppliers by spend, to align with our net zero target. We've gotten some, but there are still some that have not signed up. So it is very, very important that we have our key suppliers, sign up to Scope 3. But what we found out is that using a data template that is sent to us and then having extensive conversations with the different teams, taking them through, for example, purchased goods and services. We had to have a session with the financing team explaining to them these are the criteria of information we have in that for use of sold products, for end-of-life treatment. We had to have several sessions which each of all the single points of contact spoke to explain to them that this information is needed. And prior to 2023, we never used to ask for this information. So even at first, we had stakeholder resistance. Why are you guys disturbing me? But we've had to let them know that this has come to stay. We've also put mechanisms in place to get the information on a quarterly basis. So it's not at the end of a year that we start requesting for them. So I don't know if I've been able to answer your question.
Okay. Very good. Let me also add more perspective to that. Okay. So Scope 3, just in case, it's really looking at the wider greenhouse gas emissions, especially when you take into cognizance your value chain. And from a research perspective, that's the most difficult to actually measure. In fact, also think about it at 90%, or if not even more than your emissions, if you sort of trace it, it actually comes from your value chain, which is your Scope 3. So it's really a big issue to deal with. And the fact that you sort of addressing that in the way that you're doing is one sort of step that I think that firms can learn from. I just wanted to sort of mention that as well too. Okay, the second person. We also have questions online, so just, I hope, do you want to sit so we don't?
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Miladi. So my questions are quite simple. They are not so high level, right, like the Scope 3 and the likes. So two questions. The first thing is, for someone who has interest in the sustainability space, wants to venture into the ESG sector, is there a kind of roadmap someone can start from? I could give an example from my own self. I studied quantity surveying, but I'm now a member of GBCN, a youth member. I'm looking forward to also doing my EDGE expert trainings. So my question is, are there roadmap for one to follow? I've tried shooting code mails to Milayo. I think she spoke yesterday, KPMG. She's very busy, obviously. I'm not sure she has seen any of those things. So are there roadmaps for that? That's one. Then two, You shared things around the learnings for early adopters. In my own, the company I currently work with, right? I'm privileged to be a part of development consultancy. So are there tips you think you could share when we could start to advise the top leadership, right? Okay, these are some of the things we can start infusing, although we don't currently have an ESG department, but things we can start infusing to advise our client, or these are things we need to put in place, looking at where sustainability is going to and where the world is going to. Yeah, thank you.
So sometimes what always helps is when you keep it very simple and short so that she sort of... Did you get that?
Yes, I got the question.
Okay.
So I'll start with the last question. So you're in a consulting firm, right? And you want to find out how you can bring the subject of sustainability to your clients. So first, what I would do is for you to have like a case study, develop a material showing relevant sustainability, how it's growing regulatory in Nigeria, global-wise, what are the benefits of sustainability. If you are able to do like a case presentation that you can present to them when you have sessions with them to tell them, guys, this is where we are, and then FRC released a roadmap. Entities from 2027, 2028 have to mandatorily adopt IFRS S1 and S2. So I think you can start from that, do a presentation, put in the benefits, put in what is happening globally, what is happening in Nigeria. So many regulations are coming up. So I think that would help. And now for your first question on the pathway, I'm an accountant. I spent over 15 years in financial reporting, IFRS. So when sustainability came on board, it was, it was an interesting one. So for me, I wouldn't say, maybe I have more senior experts in the house. I wouldn't say have a ready part, but for me, I would start by learning, taking certifications, getting courses online. There's this FSA present Fundamentals of Sustainability Accounting from the IFRS. You can start with that. It costs about $500 for you to get your certification. Get those certifications, start attending trainings, read thought leadership materials, and then when you have maybe projects in your company, volunteer, to be on that project. And I think from there, you can also go for a master's in sustainability. So those are the suggestions I would give to you.
Thank you. And just to add for a copper, before you think about the $500 cost, there's a lot online too you can harness, right? So that we don't get our copper thinking of $500 immediately. Right. Okay. I've got two questions virtually. One says, this person is anonymous. Can we say MTN is better prepared for surprises such as the COVID-19 scenario, given the scenario analysis you did? So did that...
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one question.
Okay, so the COVID situation is another one. So before COVID actually struck, we had this business resilience team that was just, they came and they were asking us questions. What would happen if something were to happen in the country? You can't go here, we can't go there. They kept on bugging us. So we told them, okay, these are the processes that will be impacted. These are the systems we need. So we actually put structures in place so that when COVID even came, we all just switched into, having our business run as usual. So what I would say for our climate scenario analysis, what we did was to examine different type of climate scenarios. The Paris Agreement, where you have the minus 1.5, and you have maybe something higher, two other scenarios to see, okay, what would happen to our infrastructure in such a way? And then what are the things that we need to put in place? So I would say, yes, we are better prepared because of the scenario analysis that we did, because we've had to have sessions with the risk management team, the network group team, to tell them that these are the things that can happen in case the temperature rises up to this level. So I would say yes.
Very good. Afola Shade says that she sees that you mentioned that your non-alignment was more on the quantitative data. Mm-hmm. How then did you justify your activities?
If I understand the question, what I would say is, for when you are reporting, it's important you put in, how do I describe it now? You have, so if you are describing a risk, if you are able to quantify to say, okay, let me use transition planning as an example. We aim to achieve net zero by 2040. We have a 50% that we want to achieve by 2030. So at the moment, we have planned capital expenditure to ensure that our data centers, our facilities, we've earmarked XYZ money to ensure that we meet this target. So what I would say is that we are actually working towards it. I mentioned sustainability is a journey. Our reporting is not 100% perfect, but we're on that journey to develop and improve it day by day. That's the answer I can give to that question.
Okay. I know she's been standing for a while. Is there a final question? All right. Okay. So I think final question is here.
So thank you very much for sharing what MTN is doing. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. So my question is, many times we hear about the sustainability reporting. We see publicly listed companies and large companies. What advice do you have for the small companies like Mr. Okesin and Sons? What practical steps will you tell them, will you guide them to actually implement sustainability as a strategy? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll also keep it very short. So using the example of IFRS S1, if an entity is able to identify the sustainability-related risk and opportunities for its company, even for Mr. Okesin, is very, very important. And the reason is because if you do not highlight this, so what I would say is they should get, there's a smaller version of, the IFRS for small and medium-scale enterprises. It's available publicly online. It's for smaller entities that do not have the capacity like the multinationals. So I think that would be a very great resource to start with. But just to also add to it that, also explain it, because if you don't have knowledge about this thing, you would not see the importance. But if that Mr. Okesin is able to understand that, if I'm able to address this risk that I'm facing, it may impact my business in the long run. And if you look at many organizations that we heard their names 20 years ago and they are no longer here today, it's because they did not take some sustainability-related risk into sorry, I can't find the English right. Into consideration. So it's very important that they start from where they are. One of the things we've done at MTN is we've started with, under our water and waste management program, we have waste segregation bins. At the moment, we've told staff, this is where you're supposed to put your plastics, this is where you're supposed to put your metals. But we still see sometimes that some people really don't adhere. So it is like a journey. You have to continuously educate them. This is the importance. Our landfills are getting, filled up. And if we do not start separating our waste and then doing recycling, it's going to be a bigger problem for the next generation. So I think we can start from there. Thank you.
All right. So can we give her a round of applause? Two things to just add. The first one is, I think she was speaking about the roadmap for SMEs actually from 2030, really, right? So there's still some journey time in that, right? And also to say that at the Lagos Business School, specifically the Lagos Business School Sustainability Center, we run short courses and programs specifically around, sustainability reporting, ESG materiality assessment. So it might also help to just check out some of the programs that we do run so that, because we actually treat some of these topics in extensive detail as well. Okay, so how's it been so far? Online to give us your feedback. Has it been? I think the room is sort of fired up thanks to that. So I think we've had a very good session, and I would say to you that there's no panel session again, right? So, but let's sort of see whether across everything we've done between today and yesterday, if we have any questions we want to address. And I'm going to hand this over to someone who's going to moderate the session Q&A. So across all sessions we've had so far in the conference. So let me welcome Khadija to come do justice to this.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I didn't fall down, thank God. All right. Like Mr. Jonathan said, thankfully, there's no panel sessions anymore. And we just had a Q&A session with MTN. And now we're going to have a Q&A session about everything we've heard today, everything we heard yesterday. You know how you go to a conference, you go to a summit, you have questions, and they're like, oh, sorry, panel is over, no time for questions. Well, LBS said no. We're going to listen to you, and you're going to have the plastic bags every time, and I pretend that I will reuse them. Please stand up. I do that sometimes, so I'm standing. I'll put myself up. Nobody does that. Wow. So the guys that didn't stand up for the first question, I'm going to assume that you do this thing in the second. Sorry, this second question applies to you. All right, let's go to the next round. I know, so we've spoken a lot about sustainability strategies throughout day 1 and day 2 of this conference. So this question directly addresses that. I know exactly where my organization's sustainability strategy lives and what is in the strategy. Kola Wale is laughing because we know that. So if this applies to you, please stand up. Should I repeat the question?
Yeah.
Okay. I know exactly where my organization's sustainability strategy is, and I know what is in the strategy. Stand up.
Well done. So it looks like this side.
This doesn't apply to you if you're the sustainability officer and it's in your computer. It needs to be shared. All right. So for the shameful question, I suspect that my strategy is with HR or it's with corporate communications and it's on OneDrive somewhere, and honestly, nobody has read it since we created it. Just stand up. If he's
nobody will do that.
Those of us online, I hope we're taking notes as well. All right, last round. If I had capital, if I had money, I would invest in Africa's green transition. So did I say someone say not necessarily? Okay. Or maybe I should say Nigeria's green transition. Maybe that's closer to home. All right. Please have your seat. Last question. If I had capital, I would invest in crypto instead. We don't have any crypto enthusiasts in the room. Or I would invest in crypto. When I get the returns from my crypto, I would then invest in Africa's green transition. No? Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that put a bit of life in the room. So let's go back to why we're here. So throughout this summit, we've explored everything from climate-smart industrialization, telecoms transition. We've talked about tech-enabled sustainability. So specifically, Omni Retail spoke yesterday about how they're looking into EV kekes for last-mile transport. Also spoken about supply chain empowerment. So Nestle yesterday spoke to us about that. Diageo as well spoke to us about how they're empowering the small suppliers so that they can compete with their big suppliers. So like I said, this session today is for us to share, but also for us to learn as well. So if you have any burning questions, we'll give time for that. But just to start this conversation, and this goes to anybody in the room, what aspect of the presentations that we've had throughout this conference strongly resonates with your organization's sustainability priorities right now? Did you get that, or should I ask it again? Guys, this is the time to put up your hand and say whatever you want to say that answers the question. I'll repeat the question. What aspect of the presentations that we've had throughout the conference, so day 1 and day 2 now, strongly resonates with your organization's sustainability priorities right now? So it could be reporting, it could be supply chain management, it could be, I don't know, last mile transport like Omni Retail said. I need somebody to put their hands up. All right, we have somebody there. Can we have the mic to the lady in the white shirts in front here?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, just your name and where you're from.
Okay. My name is Chinedu Obialo. I'm from Safari Foods. We're an agro-processing company. A lot of the presentations that I participated in were quite insightful. But the presentation from MTN just shows me how much we have to organize our ESG structure, our sustainability projects and programs, and the reporting. And so we need to have like a framework, a proper document, and ensure that every member of the team understands it and is working. Basically embed it in our system. So we do some aspects of it, but something comprehensive and the reporting standards. So thank you for that, MTN.
Thank you for that, Chinedu. Follow-up question is, would you then say that is sustainability new in your organization? Is it something that you're just coming to understand? Or, like you said, has it always been done in pockets and then you're just now expanding?
Well, I'll say done in pockets. It's still relatively novel. So we're looking to build a proper framework and really integrate it in all our processes and everything that we're doing.
Perfect. I mean, thank you for being honest as well. I think your experience is probably, what's the word? Is the word reminiscent? No. Well, maybe of other organizations' sustainability journey as well. So thank you for that. Does anybody else have a response to that question? I'm happy to repeat it again. So what aspects of the presentations that we've had throughout day 1 and day 2 most strongly resonates with your organization's sustainability priorities right now? We have people in front.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paul James. I'm a farmer. Yesterday's session actually resonated with me when we were talking about how agriculture contributes to it, one of the panel sessions. But one of the striking things is that a lot of farmers are not informed because we do the practical method of applying herbicide and pesticide. Most of us aren't informed about the effect of what we're doing and how sustainable it is to the environment. So I produced 6 varieties of potato. And one of the things that informed that decision was potato is a cover crop. Water conservation and tuber formation, it was something that was in my mind when I started the business of farming 5 years ago. But one of the striking things I discovered is that I cannot measure the level of sustainability in my business practice as a farm. So gaining that exposure and transmitting it to other farmers is something that can really improve sustainability. So what mode is, or what method is exposed to us, or what channel that we can actually learn more and also transmit this information and sustainability practice to others?
I think what you say is very interesting. I think it was during the Nestle session yesterday when they spoke. Was it Nestle? Anyway, yesterday somebody spoke about them now, I guess, empowering university students to learn about sustainability and ESG. And it sounds like that is definitely a gap in the agricultural industry. Although I will challenge when you say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, when you say that a lot of farmers are not informed. When you say they're not informed, what does that mean? Are they not informed about sustainability, climate change, or just conservation processes?
Okay, now, why I picked that route is the fact that about 90%, if I'm correct, about 90% or 95% of those who produce in the country are smallholder farmers, and they are in the rural area. How many of them are exposed to information and exposed to sustainable practices? So why I'm saying that is the fact that they still go about the cultural way in which they produce, using of herbicide, using of pesticide, and also not practicing sustainable farming because they feel we've been doing it this way and this is the way we keep doing it. So producing, or not the word producing, bringing together that platform that can actually educate and empower can show them because most of them don't. I stay in the rural area, so I know what I'm talking about. Ibadan precisely, that's where my farm is. So I stay in a rural area where I see a lot of persons still do it the normal way. It's cool, in as much we are producing. So that information can actually do a lot and change if we look into it.
All right, interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Sorry, we have a question online, but we also have who would like to respond to that.
Thank you very much. I'd like to speak to what you mentioned. Actually, that's why we started a project. Last year we had the pilot. And right now we have how many? Chinwe just ran away. We have quite a number of farmers who are on it. So that is a gap that we realized around regenerative agriculture. Because now we've started using lots of chemicals and all of that in our farming, which wasn't the case previously. It kind of came with development. And our development tells us that that is dangerous for health and for the soil as well. So that's why yield is decreasing and all of that. Now the training is challenging. And it's good that you mention it. And I know that there are a couple of NGOs who are also working with farmers. So we're going to try to see if we can extend the regenerative agriculture training so that it can now be rolled out at a global scale. Another you mentioned, we have engagement with the Ministry of Agriculture, not your state yet, but we'll see what we can do. But it is true, and maybe we're going to deploy means of communication, radio, whatever, to speak more about it, because I think that the difference that it makes in farming is up to 150% more productivity. And the next year's yield is even more than that. So I think that is a good, strong case for investing in that. Thank you.
Sorry, Ma, really quickly, would you like to introduce yourself and there's Zoya? Because I'm sure he wouldn't know.
My name is Victoria. I work for Nestle Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you for that contribution. Okay, can we have the mic to that lady there? So that might be our last question, and we need to end the session. So if you have any burning questions, please put your hand up.
Okay, so I have two questions. One is around the reporting, the IFRS S1 and S2 reporting. And then the second one would be around the decarbonization and the new carbon market framework that has just recently been approved. So under the reporting, so whilst we see that it's becoming reasonably mandatory, we have fragmented data everywhere. So we have the likes of MTN that's reporting, the likes of the big energy companies that are reporting. Now, the question is, all these reports, where are they going to? Where is the central holding base for all of the reports? How do we then translate the information in all of these reports? Because I think earlier on when the speaker from Bank of Industry, the Chief Sustainability Officer, she spoke around the unifier factor. So what really unifies all of us in this country in terms of our reporting and the data we get from it? How do you then link sustainability and our GDP together? Because we've constantly seen that if you adopt this whole narrative around sustainability, and then we see that the country eventually gets better when it comes to reporting on our GDP. So that's my first question. Then the second question is around the carbon market. The policy has been approved, but it's not been signed into law. And when you look at the investor climate, a lot of investors will not invest in a space where there's no backing for, there's no legal backing for a policy. So, and then we have issues around the monitoring, reporting, and verification. How does the NCCC and the other government parastatals, what gives them the mandate to implement a lot of these things when we're still, in the phase where this has not been signed into law? So those would be my two questions. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel like, JB, do you want to take the... you're hiding your face. As a consultant, do you want to take the first question? Because I think you will have a good answer to that.
So can you repeat the question a little bit, the first one?
So it was really around we're doing a lot of reporting. Where is all of that reporting going? Is there a repository for it? Do we need a repository for all of this reporting? And then also, it was in my head.
Okay.
And then, yes, how do we then link what we're seeing in these reports to practical things like GDP, for example?
Okay, so the reporting, you need the reporting because, okay, let me start from this side. Why are we doing the reporting? You cannot do a reporting when you don't have a system and you've not implemented a system. So you would typically have a sustainability policy indicating as an organization what you want to do to meet those targets that you want to set. So the what, that's the policy. Then you have an operational manual, a framework, that will tell you how you're going to do it. Now, you see a lot of organizations starting from the third part, that is reporting something that they've not even started, which they'll say you want to do a benchmark. It's okay. It guides as to how you'd want to start thinking about what you want to do and also how you want to do. Now, I would rather take the first one, have a policy, pilot implement it for about 6 months or 1 year, and now look at the cracks. Then you have your baseline. Then you have something to report at your baseline as progress. It should not always be zero to start with a baseline. It has to start with something. Now, the reason why there is a need for this reporting is basically for decision making. To guide as an organization how you are making progress. Mind you, it's not only about identifying risk or practices or impacts. It also helps management and also the board to make certain decisions and also make certain, to make even no decisions at all, to say that we are okay with this. Now, in the reporting, there are things around scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 that you want to find out. How you, in your organization, are trying to reduce greenhouse gases. It is important because for a bank, for instance, in one of the scope, that is the last scope, 2 and 3, you'll find out that you are looking at your portfolio, how your portfolio contributes to greenhouse gases. There's a way you can carve that thing around to say that what kind of green products am I putting out there, and what kind of clients am I reaching out to reduce those greenhouse gases that are all contributing to greenhouse gases, to the climate change. So that's the first part. It helps in decision making. And also helps you to make various decisions that makes the business to leverage, bring new products, make decisions whether you would want to invest in A or B based on the amount of, let's say, greenhouse gases you are cutting down, as against the national targets, because we have NDCs, nationally determined contributions, where there are commitments to reduce greenhouse gases. Now, coming back to your question about carbon markets, I think what I hear, okay, you want to? Just consulting firms, including everybody. Yes.
The question is, you're reporting for that company, and I'm reporting for this company. Who's amalgamating all the reports that we're reporting? Because everything seems to be fragmented. So how does the government then access all of these reports to say that, okay, this then translates to a portion of our nationally determined contribution?
Okay, so
that's the question.
This question is meant for a government official, right? Especially with a... I'm coming. Okay, I'm coming.
I think my follow-up to you would be, and this is just also off the top of my head, why are you asking about the reports being aggregated? It's the responsibility. I'm just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so
it's the responsibility for individual organizations to present their reports, and then if the government then wants to figure out what's in that report to see that they are actually meeting whatever stipulations, targets under the Climate Change Act, for example, then they would then seek out those reports and then read those reports to find out, yes, okay, you're ticking the boxes on what we want you to do. So I would just like to ask, out of curiosity, is there a reason why you're asking about that aggregation? Is there something that you've seen elsewhere where aggregation actually helps to answer that question, for example?
Right, so I'll give you an example. So the EU aggregates a lot of its sustainability reports, and they translate it into meaningful things for, the entire EU. Now, in Africa, in Nigeria, we have all of these reports, and we were reporting to foreign bodies. But how are we using our nation to develop our nation? That is the main reason, because this data doesn't even sit in Nigeria. That's the question.
So
that's the reason
let
why
me try
I
and
asked that.
let me respond to that. Mm-hmm. So there is a data problem. That's the first part. Yeah. Now I've seen that some African countries are starting to develop taxonomies.
Exactly.
That's the first baseline. To what extent do you define what is green and what is not green? Now they are also evolving to have sustainable finance taxonomy, because it's a graduation from green. You want to move to social, and also add both of the environmental and social, and also economical. That's where you get into sustainable finance and taxonomy. So that is what I know that Nigeria has started one. In Ghana, we have one done already, which we've started reaching out to various sectors. So that's the beginning. So when that taxonomy is out, then you start to find out to which sector, what's the baseline in terms of greenhouse gases. So whether it's agric, looking at, then you start to have a data. So in all taxonomies are reporting requirements indicating to what extent this sector contributes to greenhouse gases. Energy sector, looking at the state of methane, looking at state of even financial institutions, looking at what are you doing with scope 1. So coming back, you know that FRC is also big on reporting. Now, the whole idea is that when it comes through, there will be a body that will bring all these things to make sense, to say that, okay, this year, this amount of greenhouse gases we've been able to avoid. These are things that or jobs that we've been able to create, or green jobs we've been able to create, based on the taxonomies that have been created. So I think it's a gradual thing. EU have theirs because they started building these data sets way before, and they are structured. So I think it's a gradual pathway that we're going. And that also adds to your second question about carbon credits. I think it's a gradual process. What I don't see yet is how the private sector are responding to carbon credits. I think it's just everybody is so excited about it. There are no bilateral agreements being cooked at the back to say that, hey, let's have one with Singapore, let's have one with Sweden. These things have to start to happen. If you've seen a lot of inroads with Ghana, it didn't just happen like that. There's some lobbying and things happening at the back so that the off-takers of these reduction of greenhouse gases are sold on the secondary market. So if that also answers your question. Hello?
Abam, do we have more time for contributions or? Sorry?
Okay, the government official that...
Said online questions. Okay. Do you want to read the question? Go ahead, and then you can give the mic. Go ahead.
All right, so I will be very quick so that I don't take so much of our time. So if I get your question correctly, you're asking how sustainability data is being aggregated so that they can be used by maybe other organizations or even investors to make decisions. So, we have the IFRS accounting standards, right? Which, of course, aggregates financial information from companies, which contributes to what is used in making decisions about a country's GDP. So I want you to be aware that the IFRS sustainability standards is a complementary of the IFRS accounting standards. And for the IFRS sustainability standards, there are aggregators already in the market, such as Sustainalytics. There is also MSCI, there is S&P Global, who aggregate sustainability information from different organizations so that you're able to, as an investor, because I'm speaking from an investor perspective, you're able to get those information to make decision on your investment, to make decisions on your investments, right? So your second question on GDP, typically, if you are reporting in alignment with the IFRS sustainability standards, you should be aware that there are some sort of information on accounting standard which will be linked to those sustainability standards. So, of course, those information can be used in making decisions about a country's GDP. So, thank you.
Well, you have more people who also want to give you a response to your question. And the director of the Lagos Business School Sustainability Center is online, and she says she has a response for you. So can we have Oreva speak?
I'm glad this is causing conversation in the room. Oreva, do we need to unmute her?
Hello, can you hear me? We can hear you online.
Yes, we can hear you in the room as well. Please go ahead.
Okay. I was planning to be completely quiet, but I guess at this point I will join. Let me start by first of all thanking everyone for joining ISC this year, both yesterday and today. I am officially on leave, but excited as I am, I still logged in. So I'm very grateful to everyone for participating and making the conference so impactful and insightful. To the question, I want to come back to the purpose of reporting So beyond sustainability and all the exciting things that we think we can achieve by contributing to this, the purpose of reports in context of companies, for example, is that reports are really directed at particular stakeholders. And I think John's responses were pointing to that. And when Khadija asked, so why do we need to aggregate? I think we need to understand our own context. So in different political or socio-political scenarios, for example, you may have governments being more of a leader. I remember you mentioned the EU as, oh, this is something I'm seeing how the EU probably is using or driving the data used around these issues and using it for policy formation. So why are we not doing that here? And my response to that is that we don't have to do that here. We have to define what's the use of corporate action, corporate contributions on these different issues, whether it's the SDGs, whether it's our nationally determined contributions at a country level, regional level, ECOWAS, national level, Africa is. And then corporates should play their own role. But corporates should not be taking on the responsibilities of government. Even though really in our context, somehow you find that private enterprise and commerce actors sometimes go even way beyond their enterprise purpose all the way to even doing things that actually are government's responsibility. But when you look at, for example, what's happening in the ASEAN region, the Southeast Asian region, and in places like China, there's a different model of how government drives development and gets private enterprise to connect and contribute. In Nigeria right now, I would say on the climate issues or the NDCs, the National Council is actually becoming a lot more active and communicating a lot more with the private sector. So there's some clarity coming there with even the taxonomy developments and also with, for example, our Financial Reporting Council, championing the adoption of these standards. But then it doesn't mean that now we should now think of, how do we connect everybody's reports? That's not the purpose of the reports. So let's not create work for creation's sake, but really connect it to real objectives. So at a corporate level, whether you're on the board, whether you're in the executive management team, what does this mean for the objectives that you have? And then we will definitely encourage the actors in the other sectors, philanthropists, NGOs, governments, to do their own part when it comes to sustainable development broadly. But we want to be careful about trying to make companies do what policymakers should be doing. Thank you very much. And have a wonderful time all the way to the end of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oreba. Thank you for coming out of leave to answer this question. We really appreciate it. We're going to end it here. I had a whole closing statement, and basically it's about themes. So we've had things around, how our sustainability transition will be driven by collaboration. I think we heard that from Ademola earlier today with BOI. Climate smart industrialization is already happening. We're seeing things from green finance to telecoms, energy shifts, and things like that. Once again, we're going to say this over and over again, sustainability is a strategy. It's not a silo. It's not this other thing that you should be doing at your organization. It should be embedded through your organization, supported by the board. And let's not forget our youth and SMEs. I'm glad we have a core member here. You're going to be our youth scapegoats in this room. But yes, let's ensure that we're taking youth and SMEs along with us. SMEs are the backbone, the driving force of industry in Nigeria, in Africa. Let's ensure that we're taking them along on this journey. And finally, yes, so Africa is playing catch up, but I think I heard somebody saying sustainability is new. So sustainability is not new, in my opinion anyway. Growing up, I'm in my 30s, but when I was growing up, we would have, when you wanted to buy Coke, for example, you take that Coke bottle to somebody, a glass bottle, you give that person the glass bottle, they'll exchange it and you get a new drink. Old clothes, you pass that on to your younger ones. I mean, I'm sure some of us here have trauma of wearing your older brothers or sisters' big clothes because your parents said, you grow into it. Big shoes, you grow into it. All of that is sustainability. So we're playing catch up in a sense, but we already have these local contextual practices that we need to innovate and make better for ourselves. So yeah, I'll leave it here. Thank you to everybody who's asked a question, who's engaged, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
One more time, let's give it up to our wonderful moderator. Yeah, well done. Okay, so I think we've had a lot of conversation questions. Let's play it low a bit. So I think we have a couple of videos from our partners that we want to share with you. So can we share the video?
From farm to fork, we care about what's good for you. Sourcing the highest quality raw ingredients so you can enjoy the healthy, fortified products you know and trust. All labeled with special care to help you make the best decisions for you and your family's nutrition. We care about community, working hand in hand with farmers in Nigeria for over 60 years. Always staying committed to better livelihoods and well-being, while empowering women and the next generation. We care about being gentle on our planet, from nurturing biodiversity and healthy soil to promoting climate-smart solutions and reducing waste. We stand committed to protecting the environment now and for the future, because Nestle cares about you. Nestle for good.
We designed effective sustainability and ESG management program to cater for an essential gap that we have seen in the Nigerian market. Sustainability has become increasingly important for business organizations that are practicing not just in Europe, but even indigenous organizations in Africa. But what we have recognized at the center is a lot of people know what sustainability is as a word, but they are not able to implement it into their core business operations. Our program takes you beyond just tick the box sustainability reporting to actually teaching you how to implement sustainability within your business operations and to see how sustainability can even bring more business success to your organization.
This is a program that we really take very dear to us because ultimately at the end of the day, one of the broader goals with sustainability is also to report and be accountable to our stakeholders on the efforts and much more all the strategies that an organization is pursuing towards its commitment on sustainability. This is a program that sits pretty much at the heart of what we do at the center, and we are very passionate about supporting participants and really equipping participants that come on this program.
I'm going to be focusing mostly around the business case for sustainability, which is a very, very interesting topic because a lot of the time, sustainability professionals struggle to set sustainability within their, workspace for executive management, for board, and also for colleagues. So get ready to learn and also to impart knowledge. So I look forward to the session. Thank you very much.
Let's talk about ethical consideration in sustainability management. You've done sustainability reporting, but now what are we reporting is the problem. We are going to look at ethical consideration in sustainability management, leading and influencing organizational culture.
Driving sustainability is my core responsibility in my organization. So this helps me to strategize, think about more things to do, more initiatives, in terms of CSR, in terms of reporting, helps you to grow, improve in your organization.
We started the class with looking at what it means to care for the environment. And to care, we broke it down into commitment, action, responsibility, and then environment. So everyone is meant to understand that they need to care for the environment. They need to commit to act responsibly towards the environment. Everybody's talking about sustainability, but how do we do it well? How do we ensure that we are not just reporting, but we are reporting the right thing, that we are not just pretending to care for the environment?
I decided to join this course because I wanted to learn more about environmental and social governance systems. I wanted to learn about how to measure, the impact. I wanted to learn about how to report on ESG systems. I also wanted to learn about the standard compliance requirements per sector, the standard compliance requirements for organizations. And I wanted to ensure that, whatever we're doing as an organization, we're aligned to this standard.
I will most definitely recommend my colleagues to attend this program. So in-house, we have identified a couple of people that needs to go as regards the subject matter. So I will definitely be going back to bring them on board. One is the fact that it's affordable and you get much, much more than what you pay for. The value you take away is not something you can put money to. More importantly is the fact that by the time you finish this program, you would have gained a world of experience, not just from the facilitators, but also talking to other colleagues and listening to what other businesses are also doing as regards the subject matter.
Today's program is communicating effectively with stakeholders and challenges in ESG reporting. We observe that there's a confusion between which standards to apply. Some people are just filling reports and they don't really understand. Coming for this program, you'll be able to understand the different reports and how to streamline your process.
Yeah. Okay. I think I was just looking through the chats. Many people online have wanted to share some views or ask some questions. We might take a couple of them just so that we are inclusive. I mean, this is a hybrid program, so that we give them the floor. So can we open up the opportunity for them to speak directly? So if you are online, you can just signify by raising your electronic hand, and we would allow you to just speak directly, if that is fine. Do we have anybody? Just unmute your mic and speak to us.
Emmanuel.
All right, okay.
Emmanuel, go ahead. And after that, you have Umar.
Okay.
Dauda.
Emmanuel, then Umar, Dauda. Please go on.
Yes, Dr. Dauda, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I really need to start with appreciating the Lagos Business School for organizing such a program, and I don't know what to say, but we really need to thank you very much, because for the first time ever we have a very good understanding of what global reporting initiative is all about. The journey so far with country-specific needs in Nigeria. And to cut the long story short, the Lagos Business School was able to organize the first adopters, MTN and the rest, to talk to us and tell us what they are doing about sustainability reporting and the rest. So mine is just, appreciation, and thank you very much, and looking forward to have invitations for us to attend such programs and to collaborate, towards sustainability reporting in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much for that compliment. Who's there? Emmanuel, are you able to speak to us? We've got Emmanuel. Emmanuel Williams, are you able to speak to us? Okay, so I think... Okay.
We have Boyega and Ibukun. I think those on the queue.
Okay, so let's hear from Boyega. Boyega.
Okay, greetings everyone, and let me also say congratulations on this particular series of the Sustainability Conference. I'm so sorry I joined a little late, and I think I joined at the right time. I appreciate all the speakers that have spoken and all of their contributions. What I'd just like to share is the fact that we should begin to reimagine the costs of sustainability products, right? As much as we are unlocking value through corporate sustainabilities, we need to begin to also reimagine the costs of producing sustainability products and how to encourage small and medium enterprises to get into the fold and make meaningful profit. As much as yes, we see conservation and environmental greening in all of these. I would look forward to let's have this conversation around this particular section. I know sustainability is quite wide, and I want us to begin to make some form of internalizing the concept to ensure that it becomes simplified and SMEs are making great gains out of it with direct support, more importantly, from the banking sector. Thank you once again, and kudos for organizing.
Thank you, Goiga. Let's make it simplified for our own understanding. We got that. Thank you. We have someone, I think, Ibu, I can't see the name.
That's Ibukun.
Okay,
yes.
Ibukun, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the sessions we've had since yesterday. I've really had a good time. I just want to talk about the area of waste segmentation. It was not mentioned at all. It's part of sustainability practices. When waste is segmented, it's just something simple that we can do from our homes. Like, let's separate our waste. There are some waste that are biodegradable, in the sense that when they are disposed, they can by themselves become decomposed. And there are some like nylon bags and all these plastics, all these are PET bottles. They are non-biodegradable. They are the ones that get into the flood drains and they resort into flooding. So I just want us to start practicing from home by segmenting our waste. It's something we can even teach to our children so that they can learn sustainability from the house. So that when they dispose waste, there are some that they put in separate nylons that are taken to recycling bins, and there are some that are taken to the refuse bins. That's just what I want to say. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Bukun. Thank you. And we are clapping for you here. Thank you. Let's begin to teach these things from the home front. So we can actually start sustainability from our home. So says Ibukun. All right. Do we have anyone? I think we don't have. Emmanuel is not able to speak. So what I'll do is let's call on Teresa, who is a manager at the Sustainability Center, to sort of give us general remarks on how the session has been.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Jonathan. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself in this session, especially this in-person, the second day. And I'm sure everyone, from the feedback that we're getting and the level of interaction that we have had in the room today and even yesterday, I'm sure that a lot of people have gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of learnings from what sustainability is supposed to be and how to implement ESG. But at the Sustainability Center, we want it to be more than just talk, more than just knowledge sharing. And that is why we do this every year. We want to go beyond knowledge. We want to go beyond just conferences. We want to see that there is a change in organizations, change in the way we do business. Why we named this theme around opportunities was because, yeah, everybody is talking about climate crisis, and it has always been about maybe there's a climate crisis coming, but we see that in Africa there is actually an opportunity for us. Why is that? Why is there an opportunity? We are still developing, so we can leapfrog even other developed countries, other developed nations, in the way we do things without harming the environment, without harming important stakeholders. We don't have to make the same mistakes that other countries have made in the past. So there is a chance for us. And that is why we put together this year's conference to talk about opportunities. It's easy to look around and see so many things. Many things are not so good in the world. But when you look at where we are in Africa, we are in a very pivotal and very important time in Africa. So there is time for change. This is time for us to harness that opportunity. And like Oriva rightly said, everybody plays a role in harnessing the opportunity, whether you are a corporate body, whether you are an individual, whether you are a government official, because we had one government official here. The role of the government official is to go back, let's make policies that actually support people to harness these opportunities. If you are an individual, you can go back and see what other opportunities you can tap into. There's a lot about information gathering, data. I know in solving most of the challenges we have around around the SDGs, data is one problem I have seen, and one theme that I have seen come up in a lot of conversations, even in conversations we have with directors, data gathering. So there is opportunity there, and there's also opportunity for our youth, especially around developing technology, climate smart technologies that will suit our own environments. When we talk to a lot of business people that want to do things around even the circular economy, recycling, we find out that there is a huge gap with the infrastructure and technology needed for their organizations to actually leapfrog or to actually, implement most of their business processes. So there is that opportunity there. We've talked a lot about sustainability reporting, ISSB reports, ISSB standards, and the new coming regulations. Now it's time for us to go back. Even at the Sustainability Center, we're going to go back also and look at our own processes, look at opportunities for us. What are the opportunities for academic institutions like us? And one opportunity is actually looking at some of the conversations that we have gotten in the room, how we can make publications around that guide businesses and that guide industries too, because that's the opportunity for us. So that is the mindset I want every one of us to go out with in the room. We have learned a lot. We have had a lot of conversations, but now is the time to take action. We want to make this beyond the conference. We want to actually measure impact at the end of the day. We want to say, okay, as a result of this conference, this is what has come out of some of the conversations that we have had. So thank you everyone once again for coming and listening to us. And we hope to see the change, the Africa that we want. The Africa we want. Thank you so much.
Wow. The Africa that we want. That's actually the theme for the AU 2063 agenda. Okay. What do we say after such a recap and call to action? I think the only thing we can say is thank you. So to say thank you to all of you, I would like to call the Communication and Partnership Lead at the Lagos Business School Sustainability Center, Mr. Abam Eyang.
Thank you very much, everyone. I do not plan to keep you guys for too long. But it is only natural that we express our gratitude, our immense appreciation. There are no two words in the dictionary that are more meaningful to truly say more joyful to utter than the words thank you. I want to thank every participant who's been with us in the last 48 hours. We have, I believe that we have taken tangible takeaways from the discussions and deliberations in the last 2 days, meaningful enough to go implement in our various organizations, in our various sectors, and in our various communities. We hope to see in the next 1 year, many of us achieve new milestones, unlock new innovation, and even new initiatives, that would embed and further accelerate sustainability initiatives within our organizations. I want to thank every participant. I want to thank all of our partners, GRI, Global Reporting Initiative, PwC, Nestle Nigeria, Shared Value Africa, all of the companies, too numerous to mention, that have sent representatives from MTN Nigeria to Lekki Free Zone, different other organizations, too numerous to mention. I also want to thank most especially the ISC committee steering members who sat down, put a lot of work in this agenda and putting this conference together. Khadija, I see you. Miriam, I see you. Thank you, all of you. And then to my most sustainable team, without you, our team cannot be sustainable. Please, let's do this again next year. So to each and every one of us, thank you so much. Thank you for finding the good time to be with us here. We look forward to seeing you again next year. And we believe you'd come with even greater, greater mileage, greater enthusiasm, greater motivation, and greater records of what you have achieved in the last 1 year. Thank you so much. Lunch is served. Thank you. Okay, no. And thank you so much, sir, Victor Banjo, for giving the welcome remarks. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, so what we have to say to you is lunch is served. And Abam, how does it work? We go out or... Okay, so please feel free. You can just go out, lunch is served, and then feel free to bring it in so that you can have a good seat. So many thank you one more time, right?
Africa's time is now. A time defined by purpose, action, value, and its people. Africa is no longer the story of what could be. It is the story of what is being built by Africans for Africa. Join us in 2026 at the African Shared Value and ESG Summit.
Sustainability reporting is more important than ever, but it's also becoming more complex. Companies today face growing expectations to disclose their environmental, social, and economic performance with clarity and credibility. Regulations are evolving, reporting demands are increasing, stakeholders want more transparency. So how can you be sure you're getting it right? If you're leading reporting efforts, managing ESG data, or advising organizations, you need the right skills to stay ahead and make an impact. And that's exactly what we help you do. For nearly 3 decades, GRI has been at the forefront of sustainability reporting. We set the global common language for organizations to measure and disclose their impacts through the GRI standards. As the leading provider of sustainability reporting education, we help professionals like you build the expertise and confidence to navigate this changing landscape. The GRI Academy offers interactive, self-paced courses designed by sustainability experts. Whether you're new to reporting or looking to expand your skills, our online platform gives you the tools to succeed on your schedule. Do you prefer in-person training? GRI's certified training partners form a global network of training organizations delivering licensed sustainability reporting courses in more than 50 countries. Their expert-led sessions are tailored to local regulations and industry needs. Looking to take your career further, earn a credential that sets you apart. The GRI Professional Certification Program is designed to strengthen your expertise and show employers, clients, and stakeholders that you're a leader in sustainability reporting. GRI training is trusted by professionals in over 100 countries, including ESG specialists, sustainability managers, finance leaders, compliance and risk professionals, engineers, executives, consultants, and many more. They're using their expertise to strengthen reporting and drive real change in their organizations and communities. Are you ready to take the next step?